and welcome back to the only show that breaks down, cracks up, skews, and reviews each week's DC Comics. I'm the official and voted on representative of Green Arrow fans everywhere, Eric Shea.
And I'm Jim Warner.
And this is the Weird Science DC Comics Podcast, episode number 486.
You do speak for all Green Arrow fans.
That's
actually.
right.
So we'll see what you say about
you went
that
there for the vote?
Today. I was not. I'm
landslide.
Not privy to those. A landslide. Not according to that one guy.
That
one guy in the
nothing.
comments back
Nobody
in the day.
voted for him.
He was pretty pissed off at you. But hey, everybody, welcome to the
Words.
big deal here. Oh, you weirdos ready to have some fun. As Eric says, skew and review. We'll be doing that in just a moment. After I end up telling you, please go over to Twitter at Weird Science DC. Follow us there. We'll follow you back. Go to our website, WeirdScienceDCComics.com. Check out written reviews from Sus Gabe. Also, go to our YouTube channel where I have more and more things going on there. That's at Weird Science Comics. And then finally go to our Patreon, patreon.com/Weird Science. And if you do go there, you get a bunch of exclusive shows, including our weekly Spotlight. We have our DC Comics Badass Picks of the Week comic book Spotlight podcast, Eric. Right? And this week they ended up picking,
out of breath with that.
They got City Boy #1 and Justice Society of America #4. So we ended up having two pretty good books there on the Spotlight, leaving us with, some sus ones for the show. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But not only that, Eric, don't act yet. There's two things I will tell you right now.
Shit.
Don't act yet. Do you think that our podcast could cut through a tin can and then cut through a tomato? Yes, it could, Eric. But it won't be. Don't try cutting tomatoes with a podcast. But this next week coming up, 5 weeks in a month means that it's a weird thing to say. 5 Tuesdays in a month. Yeah. You end up having an annuals week at the DC Comics, and that's what we're going to have next week. And if you're new to the game, you will now be aware those weeks we are Patreon only. So next week's episode 487, that will be Patreon only. You can end up signing up for as little as $1 to listen to that exclusive show, plus a lot of other things. And just as a little bit of an incentive, I don't know, but we are now able to give a week. I think it is a week, a 7-day free trial. So you can go over and check things out and have 7 days as a free trial. So you can check that out that way as well. I tried to explain. I'm telling you, it seemed all good in my mind and the way I'm talking about it.
I had no idea where you were going with that because you didn't tell me about it. I'm like, where are we going with this?
No, they just ended up. They just ended up doing that. It's something that we've been asking Patreon to do for quite some time now. So it's a pretty cool deal. So you can end up checking things out. Now, if you do go over there,
don't treat it like them streaming services. Act now and stay now.
Yes, and stay. Well, the idea that you can offer, a trial for everything, I just have it at the $5 level. That gets a lot of the stuff, including the Spotlight show, and would also include the exclusive Patreon-only podcast next week. So you can check that out, and hopefully you will realize, hey, they do a lot of the good stuffs here.
I like the good stuffs.
And keep going on and help us out as well and make Eric happy. And then he could buy his action figures and we could keep talking about the comics. Because Eric, an episode 500 is coming up. And you know what I always said about that. You know what
You don't know what I've been thinking about that.
That is coming up soon. But all of that, again, right now you can go and listen to the Spotlight that has City Boy #1 and Justice Society of America #4, but all the Spotlights that we've ever done. We've done so much. What you talking about, Bangus? Is what I say. But with all of that, the people who did end up picking those two books, the badasses of the Get Fresh crew, we end up saluting them right now. With the badass roll call. All right, Eric. You're laughing at me. You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth, you jerk. Here we go. We have Stephen Batdad, Mitchell, Trevitt. I don't want to say Brian Trevitt. That might confuse people. Dad Nation. Yeah, y'all. Eric K, Jeffrey Greek, Zach Walker, The Annihilator, Ted Probst, I Love Punchline, Stork, Michael S., Tam, Matt Razor, D-Man 3000, Niels T. Ward, David Fink, Stephen Baum. Still mad at you about the hockey, I'm sure. Oh, no. Jason Colby, Sue 42 to you and me. He's out chasing birds, but I don't mean like the Brits. Michael G., Ken Hallett, Comic Boom Rocky, Something Wong. That Eric is hateful.
What?
I'm telling you,
it's
right
weird.
Now, I just got word that his cousin, holy fuck, he's mad at you, Eric. He's very angry at you right now. Oh my God, we're canceled. Mark Jager, he's just him and Matt Razor. They just came back from Europe.
Nice.
They're fancy because European. Right? Bill, a beer from the Bat Pod. Ruben, Carlos, I'm going to have to hit this thing again. I know it. No, Marv. Matt Rapier. Okay. Did you know that Matt Rapier's son is a huge Mirror Master fan?
How would I know that?
Pretty cool, right? Because if you followed me on the Twitter, he ended up tweeting us about that. I said, as long as he's not a Heatwave fan, you're better off. Once you become a Heatwave fan, you're in trouble. Luke Hollywood, drunk, asleep, column A, column B. See, now I can play around with Simon, Luis, Manship, Andrew, and Belfast. Andrew and Belfast is going to have a deal. He sent me a question about Flash from last week that I will bring up during the mail section. We got Swanee, Anthony G, Josh Vermillion, Batman Beyond, Mark, Brandy Murray, B. Muir up there in Buffalo, and then doxing his ass, Double A Ron in Minnesota, having issues up there, I'm sure. He doesn't have as many issues as me, but we have similar wives. They cause trouble. They cause trouble
in public.
Heidi and Tanya, both sus. But also shout out to all-time greats Rob Lewis and Reginald.
Reggie.
Drink World. Drink World.
It's the Drink World.
There's a Drink World up there. Take that.
Never forget you, Drink World.
I'll never forget you, Tommy. Drink World. We better not do this any more past 500. I'm losing it here.
Now you said that Matt Rapier's son is a big Mirror Master fan, right?
Yes.
Okay. When you told me that story and to be like wary if your kid's ever a Heatwave fan, it actually reminds me when I was a kid and I gave a bunch of comics to my younger brother, and like we have a large separation. He's like 15 years younger than me. But he's going through the comics of the Superman comic with Doomsday's face, just right on the cover. He's like, I want to be that guy. I'm like, oh no.
That's what they do at the psychiatrist's office. Like they do the ink blot and the Doomsday test. Which one do you want to be? Here's handsome Superman. Here's Doomsday. I want to be that great guy. All right. No. Take him away. Chip that kid is what they say, Eric. That's what happens. I heard.
You know what I said after he said that? Something wrong.
That's hateful. Tanya,
what are you talking about?
That is hateful, Eric. I don't understand.
It's on the Patreon. I don't know what's happening.
That is true. I guess you're giving a shout out. You're giving a shout out to
shout out everybody.
Stranger. That's what you're doing there. You don't have any idea. All right, hateful piece of shit. Here we go, though. We have a bunch of books, and I'd love to say. There you go, Eric. What is this? I'd love to say that I want to be Mr. Positive and love all these books. That's not going to happen. We'll see how it goes. It's one of those things. I think that by the end of this podcast, we will go through a series of which is the worst book of this week? There's
Harley
some
Quinn.
to pick from. Yeah, it might be. It probably has to be. That book's garbage. But speaking of which, did you hear the big news that they're going to have the Batman Catwoman crossover that I had told you before that I had heard rumors of that coming up? But when you see it right there on the page and you see that Teenie Howard is going to get involved, and I said the idea that it is Batman trying to sell Catwoman, I think that it's the opposite. It's going to be Catwoman just having everybody drop Batman plus Matthew Rosenberg. So it's going to be fucking terrible, Eric. You know how I feel.
Well, it could be great.
Vendetta. We'll see. We'll see how it is. I think that by the end we will find out that Valmont is indeed what is, I was going to say precious.
Duchess.
Precious. Oh, I'm losing it, Eric. But that is it for the intro. We're going to go up. We have a bunch of books, 2 sections of 3. We have some mail. We actually have a plethora of books, Eric. I actually thought we didn't, and then you made me aware. No, Jim.
Hey, yo, Dobby, we got 6 books.
Hey, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you asshole. You were like the hateful electric company pinball machine. It's like 1, 2, 3. I don't even know what I'm saying, Eric. Let's go on to the books.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
I love that song. That is one of the best songs.
I was singing it while peeing yesterday.
Did you really? Because you were fancy when you were peeing. European. Did you like the Spider-Man sections? The segments Spider-Man on the Electric Company?
Of course I did.
They were the fucking worst.
But I was a kid who loved Spider-Man, and you need to have Spider-Man.
They were so boring.
I know.
I sat there, I'm like, why isn't he talking? He'd have the word bubbles, but it's hard. I'm like, why doesn't he talk? What's going on here? I didn't like him. I didn't like him at all. It threw me off of Spider-Man for years.
It's not good, but I loved it as a kid.
I did like pinball. I'll tell you that. They're terrible at it, but I did like it.
Pinball Wizard.
It's kind of like life. Terrible at that, but I don't like that either. I just want to end it. But here we go, Eric.
Something wrong.
I have a weekly cry for help, and nobody answers, Eric. It's like the phone that keeps ringing. It's coming from inside the house, and nobody's answering it.
Look,
someday they will.
Crazy.
The only people who can answer the Grim Reaper and Father Time. But here we go. We have a bunch of books there. Back to that, and we're going to start right about now. Yes, there you go. Boys Who Are Bad. And I like it every time because I know that you like it. The funny play with that, though, and I always make fun of the song that we have, the Werewolves in Gotham, or Old Ram V, because that story doesn't have much progression. But that song keeps working, too, because we really don't get too much more.
Hey, you get Gale 10 call. You got Werewolves in Gotham.
Well, I'm talking about the Nightwing as well. I mean, we kind of hang on everything.
He's got $1 billion, and he's rimming with bads. We're solid.
Does he have the $1 billion still? Are we?
Yes.
Do you think that? Oh my God, my tablet just fell, Eric. Oh my goodness, I need $1 billion.
Fingers.
Yeah, but I don't know what he has now. It's one of those things. Like it was always
what's Bruce Wayne got?
A gray area. Well, that's what I was going to say. It's always a gray area with Bruce. He just spends. Well, now he can't, but he does. But he doesn't. Right, Eric? Hey, Here we are. We'll get to the Nightwing book at the end of this section, but we are going to start with the Action Comics. And before I ended up reading it, I heard about a lot of sus things that happened at the end of the book, and I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm telling you, it was compared to the Miles Morales stuff.
That's
when it was
I thought about.
What If, the Thor deal. That Miles Morales stuff is way worse, but this is still pretty bad. And it always ends up kind of pushing it to the forefront when the story itself sucks ass, right? That's just me, Eric.
Suck ass.
I think that one of the things that I'm going to say throughout this whole podcast is just the lack of like true storytelling seems to be a lost art in some of these writers, and I don't get it. And I wonder what's happening now. You can sit there. A lot of it, though, you can sit there and say, okay, well, Teenie Howard's, the whole deal with Harley, the reason why it's not doing well, she has to like kind of, tell these things, and the whole Night Terrors with the kid. No, she's been telling bullshit for months now. Don't anybody give me any excuses for some of these books, but we'll talk about it. But we're going to start with what, Eric?
Action Comics number 1055, written by Phil Kennedy Johnson, with art by Rafa Sandoval, Matt Herms, and Dave Sharp. At least for our first story, dealing with the Superman family on their quest to take out the cyborg Superman, who's been reawakened since last we saw him being banished to the Phantom Zone. It seems like that's the one cool thing about Cyborg Superman, being that immortal being that he is with the technology. It's a lot like a Brainiac to a degree, where anything left behind can, infiltrate new technology and recreate him. And it seems like old Hank Henshaw still has a hard-on for the Superman family and plans on taking them down with the new World technology that he got his hands on, with help from Luthor, apparently. There's some things in here where they see the Dark Crisis for this, see this. I'm like, look, I'm going to take your word for this because I'm not going back to...
It says, see the now classic Dark Crisis. I'm like, listen.
Don't lie to me and tell me to go look at something.
You can say whatever you want there, editor. I ain't falling for that.
But look, Dark Crisis or no Dark Crisis, there was some technology left behind. He invaded some world tech because Luthor was doing stuff. Cyborg Superman's back, and he's got himself a new body. That's all you need to know. And you know what? It works well enough for me.
See, that's the thing. It works well enough, but I don't know. Some of these things seem like instead of getting, some background, it's just kind of thrown out. I said to you that I wasn't really that aware that A-Town, because they mentioned A-Town. I'm like, whatever, A-Town. Sounded like some, British, boy band or something. But now I realize, okay, well, it's the World refugees. But I didn't get that before. And some of the other things in this, they just kind of are told to you to get you going. And it's fine. It does. And it makes sense.
It's almost like when we first saw the Hank. Blue Earthers, where everybody's pissed off, but not about the Superman family, about the refugees. But it never really seemed in that context for when they were first introduced.
Yeah, remember at one point, there were people, and I forget what podcast it was, but I was listening to their podcast, and they end up talking about how, oh man, they're so mad at the Super Family. And I said to them, no, I think that, and I tweeted it to them or whatever, and they said, really? And they went back and read it, and I think you're right. And it wasn't me, it was you who said it.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah, really. No, they were nice about it. And I said, it wasn't even me like, well, actually, I know. It was just I said, because I actually was kind of wondering, maybe it was weird. But I think that's, while I do like Philip Kennedy Johnson, some of the stuff in the story does kind of end up like being told after the fact to catch you up to what's already going on. And I think that the stuff with Cyborg Superman, which I'm glad he's in this, and I'm glad it's happening, but it feels like a lot of catch up and muster there to get it to the point where you can say, okay, I'm fine with it. Let's go. Because so the end result's fine. It feels like there's a different type, and it can't be just that it's an anthology. We keep saying it, that it always feels like not enough room when we get done a story, but the page length's the same.
That's a full story, yeah.
Yeah, and it's weird. It just feels like a lot of the stuff, maybe it is some of the things where he's telling it, like he's adding things in later, and he's got to kind of finagle some stuff, maybe with the whole concept of the dawn of DC and how they're going forward, but it's just kind of weird, like that whole Cyborg Superman thing, it's just explanation. And I guess that's the only way you can really tell it. I mean, I don't know how you can go unless you're going to really draw it out. And
thinking about the Cyborg Superman stuff, and the last time we saw him with the Phantom Lantern ring, I don't remember how that ended to the point where, like, what was that the last time we saw him where he was banished to the Phantom Zone? Because I know for a while there, the idea was, all right, we're going to put a magical crystal on Cyborg Superman's head because me as Superman realized the Phantom Zone is not a great place for people to be rehabilitated. So I'm going to lock him in a room, put him in a hypnagogic state where he's living his best life. Fucker didn't like it enough. He still broke out, got a Phantom Lantern ring, and wreaked havoc. But then eventually he got his ass to the Phantom Zone, but now he's found his way back. And I'm just thinking to myself, there's still just a Cyborg Superman floating out there like, yep, getting them right now.
And I am actually worried. A lot of people are starting to take to the Super Twins here. You end up having Oso and Otho. I think that the Hank bit, and when he's talking to them, one of them is going to die coming up. I'm telling you.
Say things like that.
It's going to be weird. But the idea where all this is going on, and you know that Otho especially, like, I'll do anything to protect. When Hank starts talking about the idea of, not Hank, I'm sorry, Metallo, John.
Right.
When John Corbin's talking about, I do anything to protect, and he goes so far over the top and almost turns the twins to like, okay, I kind of like you now. I'm like, ooh, I think that's set up for one of them to sacrifice themselves.
That's one of the worst parts, because I never thought about the idea of the Super Twins going and sacrificing themselves for another, one dying. I never thought about that at all. During the whole monologue of, tracking down Cyborg Superman with Metallo, one of the team, because Cyborg Superman has his sister, when he starts talking about the idea of being a part of a team, maybe I can reform, I can be a good guy, because I didn't have a good upbringing. Shit went south for me. I became a Metallo. Here we are, but maybe, just maybe, I can be a good guy, a part of the Superman family, as it were. And when we have the situation by the end where we, see Cyborg Superman with this new badass robotic body, and we see that he's transformed, Metallo's sister into a necromancer army. I'm like, all right, the thing is, we have the villain of Superman, who, to get the Superman, killed John Corbin's sister. So I'm like, yeah, I don't see John Corbin coming out of this a good guy by the end. I think he's going to blame Superman for everything that went wrong, and we're just going to have classic John Corbin by the end. Fuck being good guy.
I actually think that he might have, or what you're going to have is, it might be setting up that and I think that the play is like, Oso, who we don't really get much from, I think he'll be the one to step up and but I think John will sacrifice himself to save both of them then. And the thing is, though,
John
I like
Corbin.
it where, John Corbin. And when you have this, I like the idea where you end up having Metallo, I want to make good or whatever, and pretty much Superman's like, he's going to go to jail after this. Like,
but he'll go to jail. Now. But the thing is, Luthor's in jail right now. We're working with Luthor from jail. Metallo can still be a force for good that could eventually somehow find his robotic ass out of prison and be redeemed. But from what we
I think
have
that
here,
he'll still blame Superman for everything.
Exactly.
With his sister,
his sister's transformed by the end. I'm like, oh, he's not coming back from this. That's his only job in life from when he was a kid, protect his sister.
And again, when that job is done, then you kind of maybe give up on things. But I do think that he'll end up being kind of a quote-unquote good guy by the end. I think that he might save the... It's just a weird...
baddie.
It's really pushing the idea of like, you twins, me and my sister, we were kind of like you, and I do it like really stressing.
I shot my no good daddy to death because he came after me and my sister. That's the type of man John Corbin is.
Yeah, that's how I am. I had that gun, and then I became a gun, and now I'm a gun. But it's okay, and then you end up where they are at the Fortress of Solitude, and they're trying to figure out what they can do, how they're going to
I think this is amazing. I don't know how this is going to work. Just the idea of the Eradicator as we know him ever since the New 52 with the new updated look. It's still the Eradicator from the Reign of Superman, but we have that Eradicator gone. But for some reason, Superman within the crystals is like, you know what I'm going to need to do? I'm going to have to keep a copy of this, but, update it so it doesn't try to kill all the impure Kryptonians out there, including my son. So I'm going to open up this holographic AI Eradicator, and I'm going to have his ass find that abomination little clone of me and cyborg parts, and he's going to do the work for us. I'm like, that's pretty cool, especially when you start up the program. The first thing he sees is Superboy Connor Kane, like, what is this thing? Do you want me to kill it? No.
I'm a little worried because he's like, all right, who's this dirty clone?
Is this going to be Eradicator reborn from this program?
Maybe. There's Eradicator. He's like, Connor, okay, program, no, killing Connor. And that dirty son of yours, no, you can't do that. And then he whispers, but they don't hear it. What about that Asian kid? He doesn't react to that. I'm like, oh no, Keenan's in
He's
trouble.
learning English through Star Wars.
And he never actually says not to do anything against Con Keenan, so I'm worried about him. But yeah, he's learning.
It's such a weird thing though, because we have this really cool scene in the Fortress of Solitude where, I want to say that Superman has a really solid plan in activating the Eradicator to find Cyborg Superman for them. Obviously, this is going to backfire at some point because you have a piece of technology who's going to go find something that can take over technology. And I just assume this song is going to be
sound like a good idea, right?
It's so weird ever since Action Comics number 1000, because with all we have going on here in the Superman family parts, the Steelworks backup, and even the Doombreaker, the Doomsday, analog in the middle section of this story, we just have the Reign of Superman stuff going on full bore right now. Like Death of Superman and the Reign of Superman, it's just all 1990s in your face right here. I'm like, I was all about that. But the weird part, I want to know if you know about this because it threw me for a loop. I don't remember having a reason for this, but we go to the Fortress of Solitude. We're going to get Eradicator plans going. Why is Supergirl in robes and gowns the entire time?
Yeah, I don't know. She looks like she just went to her communion, right? I don't know. Actually, I have no idea. Maybe it was something did they wake her up and that's her nightgown?
I don't know. It seemed like she just came back from talking to the entire Federation of United Planets or something like that for how she's dressed out of nowhere.
And maybe she got ordained online and she's doing weddings on this.
I know, that's what I did when I got ordained.
I know, exactly. So you have that, it did make me laugh though when you have those classes are pretty cool. And even when you say that with them going with the whole death and reign of Superman, they're going to have a one-shot at the end of August. That is pretty much a Doomsday special. So they really are trying to tap into that.
Hey, everybody. You love the 90s, didn't you? Sure you did.
Yeah, a lot of it. And again, when you go back and you see this, it is cool. I mean, I didn't expect Eradicator to show up even in this form. I also wonder that by the end of this, are we going to have this other fucking discussion that me and you have all the time? Well, they could just shut him down. Oh, no, now he's sentient. He's life. I'm like, no, you shut the thing down. I think we're going to get that.
This what we argued about was a Batman Beyond story, the idea that Batman doesn't kill right there. But in a future story where AI becomes sentient, what is life? And do we have the ability to, and should we take the life of something that's newly created like this? Because it's not the life that we know, but it's still life.
What are you going to do with Eradicator
Batman problems. The end? Oh no, you shut his ass down. This isn't Batman. Right this is Superman. Right? He ain't got that qualms like that. Look, he's a robot. We're turning him off.
And see, the thing is, like you said, nobody's stepping up and saying, wait a minute, you mean, well, it's crystal technology, Hank, this doesn't work here. But at the end, you may end up, if you don't play with that fully in the story, you could have one of those, the end, because they think they pulled the plug, and then all of a sudden you see beep, beep, and he's still around with
the idea that Cyborg Superman is brought back through, machinations that Luthor was screwing around with, former body parts of his, doing World stuff where it was able to be uploaded, the new Metallo body that was able to go through all these phases. So when you have this holographic technology go on, I just imagine it's during the fight with Eradicator that we never get to see, even though it's it feels like a holographic kind of deal. I imagine it's one of those hard light deals, but it's still technology to a degree. Cyborg Superman's going to affect him. All right, Eradicator, you did a good job. Back into the crystal, and all of a sudden the fortress is taken over by Cyborg Superman.
Yeah. See, that'd be cool. And in this, again, you do get more.
He took over one alien technology. Why not another alien technology?
I wouldn't mind that. We're going to start, having a whole Superman Revenge Squad again.
I love the Superman Revenge Squads.
You do get the stuff, and I thought, we had a lot of the Metallo stuff already with the background. We get more here. And it almost looks like it's through like Polaroids or something, the way that it's set up. I kind of wish that would have been more on the Cyborg Superman. The Cyborg Superman, we get a little background and we have some stuff going on, but that was
you got my wife killed, Superman.
I think more people would want to know more about that than more of, because the Metallo stuff we've been dealing with, but it's okay. And once you get going, I'm kind of excited that we have Eradicator. That's a pretty cool deal.
And the thing is, I hate Eradicator. Yeah. I'm hoping that this story actually makes me a fan, because out of all the reign of Superman, which I loved growing up, you had Steel, Superboy, and Cyborg Superman. Cyborg Superman is one of my favorite Superman villains of all time. Superboy, I like him more than Superman. Steel, I was ready for him to be my new Superman when, as a young boy, believing that Superman was dead. Eradicator, fuck that guy. I don't want to see that sunglass wearing asshole anytime soon. But hopefully, this is the one that gets me on the old Eradicator side of things.
It's funny, like, he's there and you're like, all right, you're just Jose Canseco with an S on your chest.
Exactly.
But I always think of with those shades. I don't love the way they drew the shades here in that, like, hologram deal, especially. Yeah. They look like the Secret Squirrel shit that, like, a 90-year-old wears when they go outside.
Well, this is definitely the new 52 revision of the character, but also, redone again in that, like, design instead of the original look of the Eradicator.
Yeah, and when you have Cyborg Superman, one of the things, we've gotten Cyborg Superman a bunch of times since the new 52, but it's never been great. It kind of shows up, and that's
Zor-El or Hank Henshaw?
Zor-El, it's all over the place. So hopefully this will be good. And a lot of people did love what he did with Mongol, Phil Kennedy Johnson. So hopefully, he'll do that with Cyborg Superman, who's cool as hell, and Eradicator there with him. And it shows you the thing that Superman keeps saying, even to the twins. Sometimes, I like that he says, sometimes you have to, let your villains help. He's like, no, he's using them. You just say that to the twins. Listen, sometimes you have to use them, then you can keep an eye on them and then throw their asses in jail.
Like, twins, read anything I did with Parasite in the New 52. All I did was use him and throw him away immediately.
All the time, we're going to help you. And then they just, they deplete him and then they throw him in jail. But you end up having some cool things here. But again, at the end, it just felt like it went too quick. Even though the page count is normal, it just always feels like I want more, but it's cool by the end. And I don't know how John Corbin is going to react to this. The idea that he's there.
His sister's messed up and going to have to fight them. So, John's going to have a lot of problems. Is it going to be one of those situations like in a horror movie where somebody's turned into a zombie? It's like, oh my God, we got to kill him. No, that's my girlfriend or my daughter or my dad. You can't kill them. And they fight back.
I'm sure John Corbin's do that.
The Superman family's going to have to fight this Tracy necromonger army woman. And like, you can't, she's my sister. Like, and then he's going to have to fight with his sister against the people that he wants. Like, I could be a good guy. Not no more.
Yeah. I like the idea that they're in the Fortress of Solitude and they're like, okay, well, let's get this together. And all Metallo's, what about my sister? He just keeps yelling, we got to do it now. Come on, let's go. Look,
I know you have super hearing. Don't ignore me.
Yeah, really. That is pretty. And I will say, it doesn't happen in this book, actually, but this week is starting to get that there are times in these books that I end up not, and kind of have to step back like, is that Cal Superman or John Superman? I'm having problems with that. It's not in this book, but
not in the Nightwing backup. You're not.
Yeah, I still need, but in the front up maybe. But I still need to have, I want John to get a different name in this, but I don't know.
It's like saying you want Wally to have a different name.
Yeah, but Wally looks different. I mean, there are times because of the way people draw John and Cal that you can't tell the difference, but
you just look at the suit, just like Wally.
I'm telling you, I thought he went to John in the beginning of Nightwing and it wasn't, and then it threw me off, but then I realized, oh, that's Cal, but it always gets my head spinning. But by the end, it's a good story.
No, I'm still all about the main story with the Superman family, Metallo and Cyborg Superman.
Yeah, and then we move on to the next one, and we're still not getting what we wanted, Eric. The idea we wanted that, John would become king of the world. And
there were moments in this issue that I thought we could get there. By the end, it feels like it's dashed again, but our middle story featuring young John Kent and a time in between, other stories that were told from young John Kent before he was aged up. We have this written by Dan Jurgens with art by Lee Weeks, Elizabeth Breitweiser, and Rob Lee. And in our previous issue, John realized that his alien princess new friend is not on the up and up. Gleanna is actually there to kidnap him so that Superman will have to do anything she says to get her people back on her side on her home planet. But we also have Doombreaker who showed up, who's keeping Superman too busy to look for his son. And pretty much that was the previous issue. This issue is the exact same thing, except by the end, Superman and Lois hear the recording that Gleanna left behind in her original spaceship saying, hey, I need you to come to my planet. It's over here. You do what I say or I kill your son.
Yeah. And we even almost get a double because Lois hears it and then, oh my God, I got to go tell, Cal. And hey, Clark. And he hears it. And yeah, it's just the same thing again.
And this Doombreaker thing is not doing anything. The only reason that, Doombreaker's here to get his horn, basically, Crag back that John stole from the original fight that was in that Death of Superman special. He's been lured back here. He has his horn back, his Crag, and Superman's fighting him until, Lois Lane just finds alien technology in Gleanna's original spaceship, which just puts you in stasis for a while. So he's just in a stasis bubble while Superman and Lois can go off and save their son.
Who's also in a stasis bubble.
And they're all about that stasis bubble in that home planet.
That. That's their only technology they have on that planet, stasis
that and
bubbles.
Killbots.
Yeah, really, they have a lot of those. The funny play of this is that we've been going for a while, and you said this part of the story kind of feels just like last time. And so when Superman ends up, oh my God, John had that bone. What did you do to my son? It feels almost silly because we know. Yeah, I know if he doesn't know and we know more, but
he's got to get on the trolley. I know.
You know what I mean? It felt like it was like, really? Like you're doing that? But my favorite, and we're going to have pretty much what the theme of this week, I think it is going to be Slow John. Slow John is having some problems. Even when you see him as a young kid, after all of this, you have John at the end. You mean? What are you saying? I'm like,
the throne is mine. The planet is mine.
Like, I thought you realized
the process I used to get here was messy. I've had to resort to some rather extreme measures to keep my people in line. Why would the people be mad at you? That doesn't make sense unless
wait a second.
They actually liked your parents and the one who pushed them aside was congratulations, Jono. You're finally catching on.
Yeah. I wish that she's like, wait a second.
So
you didn't get already that I was bad? Oh shit, I should have just played that up more.
I want Gleanna to be doing the bad, like the wrong thing here by kidnapping John to try to get a Kryptonian on her side to keep, the people, to keep her in power on her planet. But when you get to the back end, I'm like, this is the only bit of new information really in the book is when you find out that Gleanna is not only bad, but she killed her parents supposedly to take the throne and people are pissed about it.
She's real bad. Yeah.
She's real bad. So all I wanted though is like, a misunderstanding, her going about things the wrong way because she's alien and her and John to get secretly married when he's of age and her in the regular continuity come back and say, okay, it's time to take your throne, husband, and Bernard to lose it. Not Bernard, to friggin' Jay Nakamura to lose his shit.
What? Yeah. And the thing is, by the end,
that's such a fun story.
And I'm even like you. I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, all you need to do is that, she's a young girl. She had to take over for her parents, and she doesn't quite get how to do it. So she freaked out. She and then at the end, you could have that, which people would probably roll their eyes, but the idea of, okay, I will be good. Now I understand, and we could all get together and be great, and still they'll marry John. Again, I still want it back.
I want all of that. But when you get to the end of this part of the issue and it says, next issue, Streets of Blood, I'm like, oh, we're not coming back.
And the idea, I'm like, okay, she looks like she killed her parents. Everybody hates her. I like it's the idea of like, you don't deserve these people just yelling random things out there. Gleanna must go. Down with Gleanna. One guy's like, I want cookies. They're just yelling shit.
That one.
Yeah, and just yelling stuff there. Legalize marijuana. That one guy's yelling it there. That guy's sus.
I don't know if he's from that planet.
Legalize meth. They're like, why does this guy keep popping up here? Get out of here. But yeah, at the end, you just have, I killed my parents. I'm treating everybody like shit. And by the way, I got a lot of killbots that look like by the end.
And now I need a Kryptonian to kill the rest of them, keep them in line.
Just looks like all the killbots just killed these protesters. The one guy has a fez on. You know that he got there in like a little
alien
car.
Fez.
Right? And ran the little car and shit like that. Pretty cool. I'm like, nope, we're not going to get our story that we won. There's no way.
I actually have been enjoying, and the thing is, I don't know if I've been enjoying this middle story or enjoying the stuff that you and I come up with, what we want
like
out of the story. But it's been okay. This issue just doesn't feel like it gave you anything until the last page.
Well, and here's the thing, and just to say how I think that I go into this. I want John. I want to see more of John. That's why we get this.
I see
Clark and Lois all the time. I see older John. I want the younger John. I want to see him. And he's in stasis this whole time. That's it. And so that's what
stay that way. Never grow up, John.
Yeah, really. There he is. But yeah, the idea of Doombreaker, I'd rather have Doom. back in the day. If that, and even the funny play though is that I thought what we were going to get and I still think we may, but Doombreaker's there. And you think, oh my God, Doombreaker, he's so bad. But boy, that Gliana, she is so good. Oh no, I'm waiting for this thing that Doombreaker's just like, kill me. Like he's not trying to be bad, but he doesn't seem that in this one either.
You don't understand, Superman. I'm
at one
doomed.
Point, yeah. At one, waka. He ends up at the one point, I not kill. Like he has that, but I think that's what you're going to get. You're going to kind of go, I need better genes. Those genes are ripping apart, Eric. He's going to expose himself very quickly. Also, when you're doing that outside of the whole Kent deal, and you have what are in those? I think they're grabbing bodies and putting them in fucking lime or something in those canisters. What do they have those for? What are they doing there?
What do I look like, a farmer? A rancher?
I don't know.
How do I know about things?
I've never seen them on a tractor. They may say they do that, but that's bullshit. But, yeah, by the end, I'm like, this one was a little, it wasn't a miss, but you didn't get much more. You just get, oh no, I thought that Gliana was bad. Oh no, she is.
Oh no.
There you go. But we go to the last story, which,
the Steelworks story, written by Dorado Quick with art by Yasmin Flores Montanez, Brad Anderson, and Dave Sharp. And in this issue, we pretty much have John Henry Irons talking about his ideas of what Steelworks is going to be, the protector of Gotham as a whole, with his technology, the thing that makes his steel suit so good, because not only do I have the force field technology to keep Metropolis safe from any kind of threat, because if you look behind me on the screen here, I got Superboy and I got my niece, also called Steel, beating the shit out of this thing. They can't break through it. And the thing is, the more you hit this thing, the more, the harder it gets, and also, it has the ability to use kinetic energy to power all of Metropolis.
I thought that was neat. Like, you get an attack, but it's so boring as shit, this whole story.
You're sitting there during a boardroom meeting where some asshole in the background, what about Lex Luthor stuff?
Yeah. Right. It is almost like, what about Lex?
It's a weird situation because like last issue of Action Comics where I couldn't wait to get to the next part of the Gliana stuff with John Kent to try to see if there's a turn. The last issue of this, the Steelworks stuff, we came to the end where it looked like Mr. Terrific's like, we're going to have words, John Henry Irons. And it isn't until the end of this issue. The last page is where he confronts John Henry Irons. So Mr. Terrific confronts John Henry Irons. So we just have to wait again. And I'm like, if we're watching a demonstration of Superboy and
an editor has to sit here and read this and say, listen, I like the ideas you got here, but this is a comic book. You got to make this fun at least, or a little more fast paced, because I'll read you one of the things here just to see what Mr. Irons, with all due respect to Metropolis history, what safeguards do you have in place, if any? What's stopping a threat from appropriating your tech and attacking the city besides state-of-the-art blockchain technology, a 256-bit advanced encryption standard? Please, I'm already bored. This is why board meetings are bored.
Say that. I actually was all impressed. The thing is, maybe it's a good thing, most likely.
I am so bored as shit with everything.
When they asked John Henry Irons, what's stopping someone from taking over your technology and your robots, and he gives all of that long, drawn-out explanation to how this is impossible, essentially. All I sat there back is that Batman, Superman, World's Finest during the robot uprising. We'll see, John Henry.
Yeah,
we'll see.
John Henry. But every time you have John start speaking, it's like crammed in word bubbles of just nonsense. It's not fun. The fun play of this is they think they're watching a hologram type presentation and it's going on for real. But it takes from the beginning to the end of this. While again, these stories have their page count, whatnot. This felt 800 times longer than every other story in this. And by the end, you're just bored. And also just at the beginning, you end up hammer time. And like, oh God. And
Superboy and Natasha Irons' dialogue is awful in this book. And I just sat there, I'm like, this is the cringiest shit ever. It's 2023 and Superboy wants to yell hammer time. And even the way that Nat's talking is just like weird. And I'm like, why would you do this to that character? And it's weird,
and it doesn't feel like the talking, in my mind, that she had last issue.
No.
It is bad. A lot of people said it was problematic. But
very problematic at times, but I just really do want, like I'm telling you, I love John Henry Irons. I love Steel. And for some reason, even though I love Mr. Terrific, the idea of heroes fighting heroes is abhorrent to me. I want to see these two collide because these are pretty much the titans of industry right now in DC Comics.
Because you think that would be fun and a cool deal.
And I want to know where they would take
Dorado
that.
Quick, I don't think he's taking it anywhere. I think they're just, even at the point where you have, hey, why should we listen to you? Everybody else has their text. So what do you have to say about that? And then he just goes on, and I'd be asleep. I mean, I'm telling you, it's like, to start, it's much more than a force field. Yes, your partners are capable, but the long one, I'm like, you already lost me again. It's not fun. It's just him talking. I like the concept of having a city that if you got invaded, you know, and every villain came and beat the shit out of it, and it would actually power. That's fun. That actually is a pretty cool idea. But then in the end, it's a slog to get through this, and then you have that weird stuff with, you know, the dialogue with Connor and Natasha. And then by the end, I'm like, what the fuck did I just, like, I don't know. It just was a waste. I am looking forward to see what's going on, even though, are you with me, the way the art is at the end, it just looks like Mr. Terrific's practicing juggling. Like, you walk in, and there he is.
I don't even think about shit like that, because I know what a T-sphere does.
Look at it now, though. I mean, he looks like he's like, wait a second, I'm really getting this juggling down right now. Like, what are you doing? What the fuck are you doing?
And even, let's say the T-spheres were powered down. There's no doubt in my mind that he'd be an amazing juggler.
Well, that's the thing. They're not powered down. He's cheating. He's just doing it. It's fucking stupid. It looks like he's juggling. It looks so stupid, but he's not playing fair. It's no fair play there, Eric. He's cheating.
It's all about fair play. How dare you?
Yeah, but by the end, I was really bored with this story. Just the over dialogue of what they're going, and then
when this battle of industry titans between Michael Holt and John Henry Irons is over, that Quiz Kid will show up, and Michael Holt will take him in.
Well, maybe Quiz Kid will show up, but also maybe his actual son that was, you know, pulled out of the womb and raised by Granny Goodness. There's going to to be trouble, Eric.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you forgot about that shit. But
I try.
With that, I think this story ends next issue. So I would guess because of this last one, and then you end up having... But we still have the
Steelworks coming up, right? So maybe this is just all a prologue to everything we're to get in Steelworks.
It's 2 weeks from now, I think we get Steelworks, but I don't know that this has anything to do with it. I have
Probably
no
not.
idea because
but a boy can dream.
We have Worf doing that, Eric, and this is not Worf. So we'll see.
Michael Dorn.
We'll see how it is. I mean, Michael Dorn, I loved him in Babylon 5. He was great. He was the best. What would you give this overall?
Overall, I like the main Superman story the most, and pretty much it's the only thing that feels like it's worthwhile of this issue of Action Comics. With that said, you can get some stuff and you're like, man, I need me some more young John Kent. You'll get it. Not a lot of progression in the story. Guyana's a baddie, sadly. And in the end, Steelworks is there. John Henry Irons. You get, you know, the meeting between Mr. Terrific and him, which is cool. I'm telling you, the two stories after the main Action Comics story, the last page is the only thing that matters. So that's a weird thing to say. I usually like to judge them all and really, you know, give a real review to a book as its whole. But I like that main part so much, and the art's fine throughout the entire book. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10.
I'm giving it a 7, and I'm giving that with those other two in mind, but mostly how much I didn't like that third story. But I always have to remember as well as the idea that you can treat those as bonus. I mean, this is still a $4.99 book. You get the main Superman Action Comics story from Philip
just
Kennedy
treat the
Johnson.
Power Girl stuff as a bonus. Don't worry about it.
Well, that's, again, you could not even read it. A lot of people didn't, right?
Judge it hard.
I'm telling you, we hated that Power Girl bullshit
did.
because of how awful it was. I was almost equally as bored with this, you know, Steel stuff that I hated the Power Girl stuff. I still think that I would rather read the Cyborg, or I keep wanting to say Cyborg, but the Steel stuff here, but it's still pretty bad.
Even with some sus dialogue.
I want them to really, you know, get a good story, and let's get one of these issues that all of it hits like fucking super hits, right? Super hits.
City boy.
But yeah, 7, I'll go with, and, but $4.99, I'll keep that in mind, but still 7 out of 10. It's worth getting for the actual
$4.99, I'll keep that in mind.
$4.99, and we're towing the line, but if you're into the Dawn of DC and all that, it's still worth that Action Comics story in my mind.
I love that main story.
And then the young John, that's the bonus, and then just don't deal with the third story until it gets better. Like, okay, Hammer time. Really? Anybody learned that you don't have to do that anytime a Hammer is involved?
Hammer don't even do that no more.
Oh, they got the pants going. They're all dancing. I want a dance party. If you're going to mention it, go full out. But what are we talking about next?
Don't ever. We're talking about Green Arrow #2, written by Joshua Williamson, with art by Sean Isaacs, Ramiro Fajardo Jr., and Troy Pateri. And in this, now that Leanne has been taken once again from Roy, he is going full Arsenal mode. And I thought to myself this entire time, as he's gearing up for the battle of a lifetime, as he's going to find Amanda Waller and make her tell him where the fuck his daughter is and what the hell has been going on with this whole idea. Because if you remember from the first issue of Green Arrow, it seems that Leanne was telling Roy before she disappeared and Connor disappeared that Amanda Waller was a behind this somehow, that they won't let the Arrow family be together. And when she disappeared, Roy is just getting every weapon he can, and all he could think about was that Red Hood and the Outlaws issue where he was going after Jason Todd and just started building all of this weaponry and just came loaded to the teeth. And honestly, this is more like, Red Arrow, speed. He just kind of like, Arsenal accurate just with the arrows and stuff like that. That other one, that Red Hood and the Outlaws bit, he had so many different kind of weapons on him. It was the most ridiculous sci-fi looking thing that it was so amazing to look at.
It was like a video game deal. It was so over the top. But yeah, I do like this though. You see how pissed off he is, grabbing everything, and then you have Dinah, which you think, and he even thinks is going to say,
"Can't stop me.
Do this," and she's like,
"Stop you."
I like the idea. She just like, you have to be dramatic like this. Hey, you better stop because you're better with the recurve. Like,
and that's a problem for me.
Because
I don't think he is better with the recurve bow, because even Ollie always gave him shit about using a compound bow because that's what he liked to use. I don't think he's fast with the recurve.
Yeah. Well, there you go, Eric. It's always something.
Suck
with
it,
you.
everybody.
It's always something with you.
You want to have fun? Not on my watch.
And it looks cool. It looks cool. So I actually wish that we got even more of it, because when you did have that bit when he had all the guns and stuff, it was like you really centered on that was it, and it was crazy. It was so you could probably just look up Arsenal shit-ass ton of guns. Just try it. I think it would come up because it was awesome. It really was. But yeah, he is fired
Roy
up.
Harper, ton of guns.
I didn't say. I said shit-ass ton of guns.
Look, people don't like that stuff.
Yeah, it likes it with me.
Thing is,
next thing I'm on a German scat site, and now I really hit the jackpot.
It's funny, too, because when Green Arrow #1 came out, I was on Twitter, and somebody says, have you ever seen Roy look better? And it was with that new costume that he has in this issue and in the first issue. And I'm like, I don't know. And I put in that. I actually think I had to go back to the comic and actually, copy and edit that whole thing out to just get that whole thing, because I don't think I could find it online anywhere.
Really? I'm writing what I said, and I hope I don't go like crazy. Uh-oh. There is something. See, that's the problem. I put Arsenal, and the problem is it's like, what's your worst gun in your arsenal? I'm like, really? Like that's what you have?
My love gun.
James gun. Ooh, I'm going to get online. I'll be a big hit with that one.
Controversy.
Yeah, I have to go back. Roy Harper, shit-ass ton of guns, Eric. No. I didn't get anything. I got Roy Harper long hair.
Pretty sure you can find it in my pictures on Twitter, though.
I know. Sometimes I laugh because it probably would be something that was from the site, too, back in the day. You liked that so much that it was definitely probably there. But there you go. We didn't get anywhere with that. See you, people.
We're on the hunt for Amanda Waller, which becomes problematic as well because we talked about it in the first issue, because Amanda Waller keeps showing up in Tom Taylor books. They mentioned the idea that Nightwing came across Amanda Waller previously in this, and we had a problem because the last time anybody saw Amanda Waller outside of recently was that bitch took over Earth 3. She's like, I'm done losing. I'm leaving this Earth. I'm making my own Earth over here that's perfectly protected with my Justice Squad. Y'all leave me alone and nobody can come here anymore. It just, maybe, I'm telling you, it just seems like that's faded away now. She's back.
At least they mentioned that in this about the deal.
You think we're ever going to get a background of why she's back?
I think she's just going to be back. I'm worried that even the mentioning it is just to get that out of the way. And she's like, yeah, shit went bad at that Dark Crisis. And I don't know. But you do end up having, some other characters in here, Peacekeeper and Peacewrecker. Peacewrecker. That kind of
Peacemaker and Peacewrecker.
I don't know why I think Peacekiller. But one of the things Zach Walker asked me about that I thought was pretty funny, and we forgot about it. Like, what happened if Waller comes back and she's like, hey, I need to find that box that Oliver has to take down the Justice League and all that nonsense.
Stop talking about that stuff from Scott Snyder's Justice League.
It up. I'm like, nobody remembers. Gracious.
Now, the thing is, now that you bring that up, because the whole idea, Martian Manhunter gave Green Arrow that box because he could trust him with the idea, and then Green Arrow opened it at one point and the box was empty. What does that mean?
Remember we thought it had a mirror in it? And it was just,
I don't know.
It's me. I'm in the box. I'm the man in the box. But when they go, I like the idea now. it's weird too. Like it's a weird play that if you start remembering things, but only certain things and it's kind of a weird play that this is going. But I'm interested
again, we don't know the background of what's keeping the Arrow family apart. We know something out there, something or someone is making sure that the Arrow family can never be reunited. That's why we didn't have Connor Hawk with the rest of the Arrow family. So we didn't have Leanne Harper with the rest of the Arrow family. As soon as it was brought up when the rest found Leanne in the previous issue, Connor and Leanne both disappeared. We still don't know where Connor is, but Leanne was shifted away to an alien planet that Green Arrow was on ever since Dark Crisis. Because for some reason he wound up on an alien planet after Dark Crisis. I have no idea how it works. They're saying it makes sense. Let's just go with it because I'm having fun with Green Arrow, but he's on an alien world doing Green Arrow things, and that's kind of cool, even though for the most part you can have fun with it. It's green, like I said, Green Arrow doing Green Arrow things. He's just fighting aliens, like this random ass alien, Star Wars style, like, on another planet. And Leanne's helping his ass.
It's everything going on here. And we even have what we love from any Green Arrow deal, the Ewok Village we have as always. But do you like that? And even the idea, Sector 8675309, you like that?
No, because deal? That was all nonsense. It was just a joke. It was fine.
What I didn't like though was when they end up, Green Lantern, and then he's like, I'm not, why are you telling him that? They seem to be afraid of him.
All you're doing is going back to Ghostbusters. If someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
I'm telling you, why these people seemed actually afraid of him, and he's like, oh, I'm not that.
If somebody asks you, are you a Green Lantern, you say yes.
Take advantage of that color scheme that you have.
You don't need it.
Say, you don't even have to mention it at all. Just like, okay, Green Lantern, just kind of let it blow by. Let them think what they think. They're going to be a little afraid, and
they don't look. They see.
They attack him immediately when they learn that they're not Green Lantern. He attacks. It's not a good play.
Green Arrow shooting sticks at people and think this guy is a joke. They even hire a bounty hunter to take him out. He fights him. We have Leanne Harper here shooting a makeshift boxing glove arrow, taking out this badass bounty hunter troublemaker. We don't need to be fucking Green Lanterns.
So you say that. So after the fact, after fighting, after losing some arrows, which I would think are a premium here, Eric, and going through all that, he could have just walked away and they would have thought he was a Green Lantern and they would have minded their P's and Q's, it seemed. But instead he walks away after a fight that he didn't need to get into. It's just to show the deal. It's nothing that they wouldn't do. But still, I think they would have been better served. Yeah, you got that right, buddy. And then walk away. But yeah, you end up, and even then, it's a fight.
I just like to think, too, that weird situation like in Green Lantern Rebirth, or at one point Hal Jordan gave Oliver Queen a Green Lantern ring that was like a duplicate version. For some reason, he still has that on him where he can just put that on even though he can't use it personally because it just wipes him out as soon as he tries.
Mm-hmm. That would be pretty cool. But you pretty much get the cantina scene. I mean, I really thought at one point you were going to end up having that bounty hunter, her arms cut off, and then Con Keenan's like, don't get cocky, kid. He just shows up out of nowhere and then disappears.
He's got one line of English.
Right, you did it, buddy. But the thing that I thought was intriguing about this, now, again, I have to keep in the back of my mind that me and you aren't exactly the biggest Joshua Williamson fans. And, even in the Flash stuff that a lot of people love, but especially recently in stuff like A Dark Crisis where things change, they don't quite work out, right? So, yeah. But even then, if you go into thinking of, okay, how about that tournament? Did that really work out? Like the tourney it really didn't.
I'm trying to figure out how the Lazarus demon was like, with the Devil Nessa.
Things got wonky, but we love the character work, and that's the same way I'm feeling here, and I'm starting to worry because it does intrigue me when these aliens are like, oh man, you're far from home. Like they do recognize what's going on. You remember the Justice League, all this stuff going on. I thought they were in some dream dimension still. So at least we're in the universe. We're there somewhere off. They keep getting, here, there, and everywhere. But the idea that they are there with just aliens and possibly can get back or found, I actually thought that was pretty cool and something I didn't really realize when we had last issue seemed like almost like Construct type deal that they were in.
Getting back home because we think to ourselves, shit, Oliver Queen is alive and well, but he's on an alien planet. How are we ever going to know that he is alive, and how are we ever going to find him since there's no way to communicate because he's on an alien planet? Everybody thinks he's dead. Leanne Harper teleports to where he is on this alien planet. Oh my God, how are they ever going to find Leanne Harper and Oliver Queen? And ultimately, it doesn't matter because once Leanne Harper says, what about your son, Connor? And he thinks, oh my God, for some reason, a mental block been there the entire time since the New 52 opens up and he remembers Connor Hawk, his son, everything. The idea that these assholes, whoever is behind this, made him forget his son. He is so upset, but as soon as he remembers Connor Hawk, both Leanne and Oliver Queen both teleport away from this alien planet. So I'm like, oh, I guess it doesn't. If they teleport back to Earth, I'm like, this is some bullshit now. Like, this is not bullshit. I'm having fun. It's just,
I know.
Why were we here?
What is the mechanism? It's like,
and what is the purpose of
through
this
nostalgia,
world?
Right? It's weird. It's odd.
Like, why
we'll
this
see
world?
What it is. I like the idea that you end up because somebody was giving me shit about the idea of Animal Man and the vegetarian barbecue in the Flash book. And then you start out here and you end up having Ollie like, hey, that's vegetarian chili. And then he's like,
that's fine.
This shit sucks. And he throws it. But I'm with him. If you're on an alien planet, I would tend to maybe get it more adventurous with the plants than the animal. It would be weird. But yeah, he's doing that. He can't quite make that
Now just
chili.
thinking about getting adventurous with animals.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's kind of weird. Well,
you don't know what I mean.
Adventurous with that. I do think I know what you mean now, and I don't like it, Eric. Or do I? But yeah, he just throws that chili. So ridiculous. If he find like Leanne looks like she might be enjoying it, and he doesn't.
She's just hungry.
And even then, you have some cool little things. It might make some people roll their eyes, but the idea of this treehouse that they're in, that was some device that Batman and them ended up giving to him. I'm like, I'm okay with that.
But for some reason, that's fine because it's
capsule
DC
technology from Dragon Ball.
Exactly. It's DC weird science when essentially we just have the idea of shrunken down things. Like, like either the Flash suit in the ring or you have the Atom just doing anything. The idea that you could have a headquarters that is micro that you could enlarge wherever you are. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool superhero stuff. That's like, you could say it's silly and stuff like that.
Because when they get teleported away,
oh no, I think this is one and done. That's just
only
expensive.
One capsule. Yeah, really, he's done. And then you don't realize this. Alien Jim and Eric, they just moved in. We're going to move in there. Now we have a studio to go with. Oh, yeah. And you do mean when you're going to the bathroom, right? Your squatty potty. But you do have that idea. And I do like the idea that at some point you may start traveling around. Hey, tell me something I don't know. Oh, well, like I'm thinking of it now and they get teleported away. But yeah, the whole thing with Connor, he looks so happy. He's thinking of it, not thinking of the idea that he, I wish you had that one panel where it's like, what? Lose an arm? The hell with that? Sayonara, sucker. And then he's done. He doesn't think of that.
Connor wasn't a part of that. It's fine.
I know. But he was still, that's how he had to become. He had to step up because his dad went away. Most people go away for a pack of smokes. He went away because he didn't want to lose an arm.
I don't want to lose an arm either.
Well, there's a lot of tech in this universe. You could have done something. But yeah, when he realized it, I think that the play is not just remembering Connor. He's remembering Connor, but it's, I remember they took him away from me. Boom, they're out. And he's like, oh, you son of a... I actually thought that was hilarious. When he realizes what he just did, he's like, you son of a bitch. And then he gets teleported away. Pretty cool. I thought
but
that...
But even with the narration...
I still want to know more answers, but I'm enjoying it.
So am I. And this is the narration, though, of Oliver Queen. You won't believe where Lee and I were sent next or when. I'm like, fuck me. All right, look. I can have fun. Look, I'm all about a Green Arrow series. I'm all about a Green Arrow family series because right now, you're doing some fun stuff, and I'm getting to deeper mysteries that I've been wanting to know the answers to for over a decade at this point in time. But you're playing weird games with it, and hopefully the outcome is something that I can be happy with. But when you have Roy Harper and Black Canary then go trash Bell Rev Penitentiary looking for Amanda Waller, and they're confronted by, Peacemaker and Peace Wrecker, it's such a weird idea, though, about them, they don't know everything that went on. I can't assume so from the Suicide Squad previously. But Amanda Waller was Argus's public enemy number one. She was persona non grata. They were on the run before she skedaddled to Earth 3. So, how are we ever going to explain even the idea of Peacemaker working for her, but being back at Bell Rev and Argus and everything involved? I'm like, that's a lot of story to be telling in a Green Arrow book.
He has that MO if that's what he... And again, he may be doing things just on the down low. And I'll go with this and see what's going on. But he's coming up everywhere. Though, I also want to ask you, this Count Vertigo definitely is going to, pull your pants down and do shit and then make you dizzy so you don't remember, right? He looks like a scumbag. I mean, he looks like double down times straight.
Look, he's used to prison life at this point.
I'm telling you, I like the Count Vertigo that looks a little fancy, like he runs a country and shit. This one, shit has gone wrong.
A count.
But yeah, a count. Now all you're doing is you're down for the count, You wake up with your pants off and a quarter on your ass.
I'm dizzy. You bet your ass you are, boy.
What just happened? And then you see him scurrying away with Bill Cosby or something. You don't know what the fuck happened, Eric. He looks you know who he looks like? He looks like Sus Roy. Like Roy's all spiffed up here. He looks like a piece of shit scumbag here. And it scares me. He looks like Double Down. How we said, you look at Double Down.
I don't like to look at Double Down.
First off, when Double Down's around, don't ever take beef jerky. If he offers you beef jerky, don't take it, Eric. You're going to have problems.
Why does it look like a card? Eat it. No. Not eating your scabs, Double Down.
Scab. I'm telling you, that Count Vertigo has multiple venereal diseases, and he does not care. Eric, he's going to pass those on. He's paying it forward in the worst sort of way. I don't like him. Just look at him. He looks like he's there. He's probably right before this scene. He was jamming out the Limp Bizkit and figuring out how he could get your pants off. That's all he's doing.
So me in 1999?
Right? That's who I think of. It's you. Yeah. Look at that. He takes off that. And look at the vest. Isn't even like, it looks like just ripped. He takes it off.
He's been in prison a while.
Weird ass Green Goblin looking tattoo on the back.
I'm all about making fun of the way Count Vertigo looks in Bell Rev, but you're taking it a little far.
I don't know.
Look at that guy. Me.
That's where it's taking it too far. Oh, God damn it. He's there. He's like, the best thing that he could think of, he's like, that Lollapalooza 99, boy, I really benefited from that, is what he's saying. You know what I'm talking about. But
I do.
All in all, at the end, when you do have Peacemaker and Peace Wrecker, it's pretty cool.
I just don't know why Peacemaker be working with somebody named Peace Wrecker.
It's confused. I think that we're going to, because he is that guy like Law and Order, and I don't know. It is weird, but I think that he's come up so many times so far already that I think there has to be some other explanation. I think there has. Look at he works out. I'll tell you that.
Not like that Count Vertigo scumbag.
Yeah, I mean, Count Vertigo, they need to kill him right now, or else he's going to do bad shit. Right now, though, do you think that these two, Peacemaker, Peace Wrecker, you think they got busy already? Like they have, right?
I don't know. I don't know. They dress alike, so maybe.
I think they have. What would you give this?
Honestly, I had a lot of fun with this. I definitely want to know more because it's a gigantic story to be told here. I just hope that Joshua Williamson is able to do it in 12 issues. Maybe he gets more if things work out. It's just, I'm always worried with a Joshua Williams story because the character work is fine. I love the characters' interactions. I like a lot of the stuff we're doing. The story just feels overwhelming, especially, the thing is, we're only at issue number 2. We got time on our hands. But right now, I am having fun, so I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give it an 8. I liked it. I had fun. I'm just worried. I'm worried like you. What it reminds me of, and this story that I'm going to say did work out eventually, and we really liked it, but it reminds me of the beginning of Jeremy Adams' Flash deal when he was jumping around all those different things and whatever.
Stuff.
Yeah, the Quantum Leap stuff that we were just kind of like, well, okay, it's neat, and we're seeing things, but
that's the scavenger hunt stuff that I never like. And even the idea of like, people TPing everywhere at different points in time and places, I'm like, that's just going to turn into a scavenger hunt as well.
That's my problem also, is that at the beginning, and I said, oh, it's okay, now I see we're in the universe. We just, and then when you throw the when in, I'm like, oh, why are you doing that?
Ollie and Leanne and Connor in the Old West.
We'll have some greatest hits, sort of, I guess. I don't know.
We're going to go back to Sherwood Forest?
I'd like that. We may. I don't know. Who knows how we're going to do it? And then he's like, oh, I remember Sherwood. Oh, son of a bitch. It just keeps
Oh, yeah, Boyd Figgis. I just said that. Bad shit happened there. Let's not go back there to Black Canary.
Yeah, that is true. But maybe he can. This isn't the book that I need them to go and fix shit. Like, I hope it's not like that Quantum Leap deal, because I just want them to get back. And they, obviously by the end, hopefully they figure out who is Oliver seems to realize what is going on. Hopefully
I don't know.
He can fix it. Well, he says, oh, you don't know what's going on. He's like, well, I didn't say that either. You think he's just playing it up to her when she's asking questions? He should have pretended he was a Green Lantern.
He doesn't know what's happening.
Yeah, he seems to.
This is above his pay grade.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he knows a little bit more than he's telling us, Eric. But we're going to move on to the last book of this section. It is Nightwing number 104. It's written by Tom Taylor with art by Travis Moore, Adriana Lucas, and Wes Abbott. And we get some more Titans.
Nightwing will make you believe that a man can fly.
Yeah. Also make Tom Taylor, I don't know, believe that somebody's going to actually think that Nightwing will sacrifice a little girl. Just that powers. It's not happening.
The worst part about it, because this is just a glorified, issue of just, hey, look, everybody, this is Nightwing with powers, because the stakes are not there at all, because
there's no stakes in this whole series.
The idea, you even told me beforehand, you spoiled the whole thing for me, but it doesn't matter because there's not much story to this anyway. The whole idea is, all right, Nightwing, if you give me the girl's soul, you can keep these powers forever. And just imagine all the good you can do in the world if you just sacrifice this girl's soul. Even Olivia's like, you can do it, Mr. Nightwing, let me die. And I'm like, nobody's buying this. You're not doing anything with the stakes here.
I had some people telling me, and they were trying to make it work with them, and, you know, all the power to them, but like, no, what you're not getting is they're showing Neron is just an idiot. I'm like, that's fine, but this book never has stakes.
Don't make Neron, the king of hell, an idiot either.
Exactly. And the book doesn't have any struggle. It never has any stakes. It never has any tension, because in this you had it, but this just feels like Tom Taylor, oh shit, Night Terrors? I'd better wrap this shit up, and the best way to do it is to have Nightwing have power so he can run around and just grab people and throw them aside. Here, Gorilla Grodd, you go on this island. Hey, I love the idea of this grinning man. Look, the grinning man, he's done. You're like, that is the most ridiculous ending to something you set up.
You had all of these villains show up on Themyscira, which I still don't like, and you have to say, oh, this takes place before this point, and Lazarus ran, but I don't like that to begin with, but you have all these characters show up who have, you know, taken a Neron deal in the past during their previous story arcs in the 90s. So you have Gorilla Grodd, you have Dr. Blast, you have the Grinning Man. And essentially, yes, Super Wing shows up, takes Gorilla Grodd just to another island so he can't mess with people's minds no more. But everybody else, these big bads of the DC universe, we can't even have an issue where we see how bad these guys are or the fight they might put up against the Titans, who are the new Justice League, because everybody essentially just gets one-punched.
And so what Tom Taylor's playing is Neron's going to be like, okay, Nightwing's going to figure out that he could save billions of people, and then he'll sacrifice it. And you know this isn't going to happen, so it's just not, and it doesn't. But while you have Nightwing, and then you have to have things like, hey, I'm going to go check out Superman. Hey, Superman, I got these powers. What do you want to do? Oh, let's run and go up above the earth. And even Dick Grayson says, I've seen this view a million times, but you know what? Pretty cool. And then you have Superman, who ends up going, you know, just want to show you a little perspective, show you that this fragile earth, I want to show you what you're going to be protecting. I wanted Nightwing to say, bitch, I just saved everybody in Dark Crisis. It was me. I saved all you assholes already. I know what you're...
Black Adam.
Like, I know what the fuck you're talking about. I did it. Like, fuck you, Superman, you prick. And then leave.
Now,
but
what you need to ask Superman, Nightwing, while you're sitting up there in space looking at that little brown marble that we all call home, hey, how are we talking in space? Superpowers, kid. Superpowers.
And what are Nightwing's actual powers?
Everything.
It's just like, everything. So I love the idea that not once somebody or he himself's like, you know what? I got these powers. I got 2 hours? All right. Heartless, here I come. And just goes into the Bloodhaven and just obliterates. It just snaps his fingers and gets rid of him. But even in this, the first thing, Wally is there, and they're like, oh, you know what I think we should do? We should go. I don't even know what's happening in Thailand, where they're like, oh, there's this thing, and illegal water capture in Bangkok. And I'm like, here we go. This is what I was yelling about in the Titans deal, where I don't know. Tom Taylor thinks that this is the greatest thing. And then when Superman, I wanted Dick Grayson also. Hey, Superman, this sounds a lot like John. Did he get to you? Because remember, that was the thing John told Superman, that he wasn't doing enough. I think to him. But even then, like, that's what we're doing. We have these powers, and the thing that he does is change water capture in Thailand, goes up and sees how fragile Mother Earth is. Oh, my goodness. Where is Greta?
But that new costume does it pretty cool.
Yeah, I do like that. But also, I did think about how... And then, I think by now I'll go back and see what the hell is going on in Themyscira.
But even the idea of Nightwing with powers, that could be a really cool thing. We only have him for 2 hours. We're pretty much just tools around and just does Superman stuff, but being Nightwing. But we have to go back to Themyscira because Neron, he's gotten a little, like... He's gotten a little visit from Trigon saying, hey, you ain't shit no more. Clean this up because I'm going to continue telling people you ain't shit unless you clean this up. All right, I sent some goons before to send a demon horde to Themyscira. The Titans are going to have to take care of that. Nightwing then goes and takes Olivia out of there until his powers run out. And then even the idea where he has ultimate power in these superpowers that Neron gives him. At the end, Neron takes them back, obviously. Nightwing's not going to play ball. Oh, my God, how are we going to defeat the King of Hell? Well, Nightwing's the coolest, so I'm going to have that power that was left over by Nightmite, the fifth dimensional imp that was here.
You make up more shit on top of shit. Like the idea that he has superpowers to take care of almost everything, and that
at this point in time, it becomes kids playing superhero on the freaking, like, you know, playground. Like, I have this power. Well, I have this. Well, this other power I didn't tell you about, it counters what you have.
Yeah, that's what it is. It is. It's like, you know, rock, paper, scissors, dynamite. That's all it is. And even at the beginning, I love where Neron's like, I'm giving you the powers to do anything. But I'll let you know that you might want to get rid of me right now, but your friends are in charge. I'd be like, no, I'll take care of you right now in 2 seconds and go off. But even then, when you have this, and what it does remind me, and I'm glad you brought up the idea of playing in the backyard and like, hey, I'm Nightwing and I have powers. But he doesn't have powers. He does now. And you do that shit.
Because even when he doesn't have powers, then he has magic powers because we did something before that, or just, oh yeah, I had a little bit left over.
So what this book reminds me of, it reminds me so much of, like, it just reminds me not an all ages book, but a little kid book. This seems like something I would read in 6th grade. And I'm not putting anybody down, but it really feels like a book made for little kids. Hey, look, your hero always wins, and they don't struggle, and if they're good, they win, and that's fine.
No,
but
the thing is,
to the point too much.
You're 100%, because not even in the ideas that we're expressing here with the powers and then the night might mystical, like magical powers, but even in the dialogue, when everything is said and done, we have saved the day. So what's going to be your super hit power? I mean, your super name, Olivia? I'm going to be Nightbuster. So she says Nightbuster. We're all reading comics. We've been following along, I hope, with Nightwing. But then you have to have Raven. You took part of Nightwing's name and part of your father's?
Like, really? Thanks a lot, slow Raven.
Raven, come on.
Her eyes are crying. She's got the mind movements going on. Like, it's so, like, really, like you just said, Raven is saying that, everybody, because Tom Taylor does not think that we're smart enough to put together what Nightbuster means. That's why Nightbuster, and he has to do that because he thinks that we're too dumb to get that. Nightbuster sounds like somebody that's going to come in and pretty much glow so the night's gone.
Stop it. Okay, good. I thought you were going to take it to a weird place.
No, or it's going to be like Nightbuster sounds like an asshole that shows up at a bar like it's closing time and they're there to tell everybody to go fuck home.
All I could think about is this silly name. Like back in the, I want to say the early 90s when he was created. It could be earlier, but I remember appearing in the early 90s. Night Thrasher over at Marvel Comics. Like that name, that's too much.
All I sit there and she goes, hey, do you have your name? Nightbuster. I'm like, this is why you should never allow kids to name themselves. This is how we get Peekaboo Street, the skier. You don't do
Thunderheart.
it. Don't let kids name themselves. It's awful. Nightbuster. And Raven, though, looking, and also just this whole play. This is, again, some of the dialogue here, and it's between old Nightbuster and Raven, where she says at one point, Gar, Raven, thanks for looking after me. But then you have Raven say, Nightbuster, I want you to know you will never have to worry about Neron ever again. I promise. And then she's already said Raven's name. She knows Raven's name and says, thank you, impressive but dangerous sorceress. Why would you say that to somebody you just used their name a panel before? That is so ridiculous. It's just
what's up,
joke.
Jim? What you doing right now? Oh, not much, man. I'm just hanging out. Well, you're never going to have to hang out again, you impressively tall, badass, handsome man, you.
Yeah, that would just make you feel good. You're just making, it's not. You're making fun of me. That would be the idea that she doesn't know her name or doesn't thank you. It's all bad. And it's written. And what happens in this, it feels like this book, and somehow it equated in my mind, is the idea that you have Tom Taylor, who was out there killing everybody. I mean, this guy was known as the guy, if you had a book set up where they'd say like, oh, Tom Taylor's going to be on this book. I had the whole deal when I had the parody song for the Suicide Squad book. I said, everybody's going to die. That's what he does. That's the joke. He has gone from that to the extreme opposite. It's like Eddie Murphy. Suddenly, he's not going to do any dirt. Like, it has to be all kid-friendly. That's all Tom Taylor does now. He ends up, everything is not even all ages. It's for little kids, and that's fine. Some people may like it, but most of the people that I've heard, even starting out, like, oh man, why do you hate this? This is good. You get to like 8 issues in, and they're like, yeah, nothing's happening. But now it's even dumbing down. It's like before there was no progression, but now it's just, I don't get it. I just don't get it. And again, I said the idea of the Titans book not feeling as special because of already getting all this, but I don't know. The ending I do think is intriguing, though, when you have the idea that something's missing from Raven. That's okay. But when all that other stuff, you're basically saying, and as I said, and I'll take a little credit for saying very early, and you'll never admit it, but when I told you the power level in this book is so fucked up because the Titans were there, you had all these heroes. What do you do from there? What you do is you have to give Nightwing powers so that he can get everything done and go. It's just, you need to have something where different.
Like one thing.
How many times have we said in this book that Nightwing has to actually hey, everybody, fuck you, I'm doing things on my own. But, I mean, we're so past that. And it feels like this book is coasting.
No, I agree at this point in time. Nightwing has to get back to the down and dirty of Bloodhaven. Leave the stuff if you want to keep everything hopeful and light, save it for the Titans book, in my mind.
Yeah, have that do that shit, I guess. But yeah, here, I don't know how you do it, though. I still want to know what was in that box that the Hold or whatever the fuck they were called had. And, when Tony Zuko was trying to rob that place. There's so many things. The Heartless is just going around. There's pizza. It's all there.
Such a weird idea, though, because by the end, when, Raven makes that promise to Olivia, who's being left on Themyscira to be raised by the Amazons, because obviously we can't have Olivia around the whole time. Even though Dick Grayson has legally adopted her, Linda lead her ass into an orphanage immediately.
Linda lead
over here with the Amazons. So we go back to the Neron and Hell. The idea, though, that we have Raven, who's the daughter of a demon, but it's an interdimensional demon aspect. When you put Trigon in Hell, it always throws me off. When you had Trigon show up to see Neron earlier, it threw me off. Raven here, it gives her a badass flex that she has the power because of what, her father's outside of, being hellish. She is able to take Hell away from Neron and pretty much pretty much put Blaze in power this whole time. But Blaze tells us that there's something missing about you, Raven. And it says, this is going to be continued in Titans. So I'm like, what's going on now? Because obviously it won't be her soul self, but what is missing from her? Is it the darkness? Like the idea that dark sorcerer that Olivia was talking about, is that it gone? Because she seems like, even though she just did this to Neron, she is a happier, friendlier Raven than we've seen.
Is it one of those where if you don't have depressed Raven because she's so happy with Beast Boy, that she's missing
Something's missing?
It may be.
But no, it's interesting, though. This whole stuff, I'm telling you, I don't like Trigon and Hell. I don't like Raven and Hell. But Raven here, at least, works for me because of her power set.
It does,
and her
but
taking
again,
on
it's for the
Neron's
Titans
fine.
book, though. I want Nightwing stuff in the Nightwing book, but it's fine. I thought that was intriguing. Yeah, that's the best part.
And Blaze is in charge again.
Now, you sit there and, again, also when I was thinking and seeing this, you have Nightbuster. You also, where Nightbuster loves Bitewing. I mean, really, and says, hey, Bitewing will come. All I kept thinking of, you know what? This is just Live Shot and Dog Shot from the Suicide Squad that Tom Taylor did. He's just redoing that again. Now, I wouldn't mind them teaming up.
A baddie's daughter.
Right? It's exactly that. He's playing his greatest hits with that. I do like, and the reason why my score isn't so low that I do
love Live Shot and Dog Shot though.
And I like Little Buster. I'll always call her that, but I love her as well. And I'd love a team up, and then even them with Jay, Irie, and Maxine would be great. I'd love all that, but it really is just, it's Live Shot again. Seriously, you gotta change things up a bit. But by the end, I was intrigued with the Raven stuff. But then we have the backup, and again, the backup,
I hate the backup.
I don't get it.
I always have hated the backup.
And Daniel Orr on art, and Jonas Trinidad, and Adriana Lucas, and Wes Abbott. But it's C.S. Paquette. Why are you doing the same shit that I guess it matches up? Because there's no struggle. There's no anything. And this whole thing ends in such a bizarre way. And then you realize you have Page's face left.
It's so it's just so funny, though, because we have this backup story that's supposed to be Nightwing training John Kent to be a better hero and stuff like that. And we start out by going to the circus where not only was a trapeze artist, rope cut, but there was also a bomb in the audience. Turns out one had nothing to do with the other. The trapeze artist is doing that to themselves to try to get out of this life. And what about the bomb, though? I just kept saying it the entire time, every time we talked about this backup. And this one's well, we went over, we talked to everybody. Who could be the person? Hey, let's go talk to the ringmaster. Hey, who's this guy? Oh, he used to work here. We fired him for being a piece of shit. And he told us we'd rue the day we ever talked to him. Hey, you know what? This could be the guy.
And this is what I don't understand. Hey, we have this security tape, right? Hey, there's that guy, Brian. He used to work here. I fired him last week. He just wasn't the right fit for us. He was very hateful. And he said, you'll rue the day. It feels like you have a progression here where they have to actually use detective work to find this guy's asshole trailer. Moments later, and they say, well, that was surprisingly easy to find.
Hey, look, dynamite.
And I get the idea. It's like, oh, where is his trailer? Right there. Boy, that was easy. Like, what are you talking about? That was easy. The idea, like, didn't anybody go through his fucking trailer before? Was this off the deal? I don't even get it.
Well, he was fired the other day. It's maybe they just didn't get around to it yet.
Well, again, though, like, I think it's not even there, maybe. I think they just, but all you have to do is look up his address. Right? You get his address. So then.
The traveling circus.
These two bumbling idiots. First off, John, this is definitely, and we talked about it before we recorded, this is definitely the best view of a John Kent who grew up in a volcano
for 7 years during his formative years.
5th grade education. This is slow John so much. At one point, he's just shaking boxes.
Slow, ugly John.
I think this box is empty. They had Nightwings. And then you have, I think that being around John has made Dick Grayson dumb as hell. He ends up having a goddamn stick of dynamite and goes, this is enough for at least 3 explosives. Now, you have a stick of dynamite. It's one big explosive, you asshole. It's a piece of dynamite. And then you look and there's just a bunch of pieces of dynamite. And they're like, oh my God, look at this. And then they go and confront this guy who's walking around all sus. And then they punch him. They punch him in the face.
What you could have here is the ultimate kind of villain thing. Like, well, you think you might have taken me down, but I've placed explosives in 7 spots and teddy bears across the pot. And then there's John, like we always see John Kent do whenever he's being trained. He does it off panel immediately, and he gets it. It's all said and done. It's fun for a laugh, but we've seen it over and over again.
These backups are supposed to be showing Nightwing training John at this point in the story. And boy, John looks ugly as shit in this.
He looks like Jeff Goldblum when he's starting to turn into the Fly.
His face is melding at points. It's bad. And he's got to do something with that hair. But he ends up where, at this point, this is the payoff. You end up where the guy, you think you stopped him, and you end up Brando Brian goes, Brian. You think you got me? Well, I have these. And then we see, and maybe a spread page, but we see all the lessons that Nightwing has taught John, and he uses them right now to find the bombs. But you don't do that. It's off panel and he has them. Boom. He has them because he's great at everything. There's no struggle there. You don't even get that payoff. That's what this is supposed to be about. And you don't even have the skill to do that. You just end up, and then the worst part is we got pages to fill then. And yeah, you're going to do the nice thing again. Oh, I'm going to take this to this girl who I promised that the clown would give you this. He is a clown. And then all of a sudden he goes and, I don't know, he's never been to a carnival, even though we saw him at carnivals when he was a little young guy.
He doesn't understand how carnival games work. This ring is not big enough to fit over this. Do you want me to enlarge it for you? Here, just take all the stuffed animals and get away from me, kid. What was wrong, Nightwing? I don't understand. Never change, kid.
Never change, you dumbass. You end up where this is going on, and John doesn't understand the carnival. And somehow the laws of, like, physics don't really work around him. He has a ring.
I don't know how he fucking enlarged that.
And he enlarges it, but it doesn't make any sense. And then when that happens, what you do as a carny, get the fuck out of here. Why would you keep doing it? He's won all of these stuffed animals, and then, not even that, but stupid ass John here, he just keeps them. You don't even have a play where he's handing them out to kids. It's like, I got all the Teletubbies selling them on eBay. Don't ever change. Like, really? Like, he is slow. Like, it's bad. And that
I'll tell you, I hate the backup. I've hated every issue of this story because it just feels like it just adds, like, it just adds to this book for no reason whatsoever and doesn't give you anything. They're taking advantage
that it's selling well. That's all they were doing. Yeah.
But I will tell you this. I hate everything about it, but this portrayal of John Kent is the best portrayal of a boy who grew up in a volcano and how he would act now that he's a man.
I don't think they're trying, but they do it. Yeah.
It did it. Because everywhere else, he's perfectly adjusted, no problem, nothing. He's about to go to college when John Kent's Superman for his first time, even though he has a 5th grade education. But he's going to college as his undercover Finn Connors. But this is the Superboy we should have.
Finn Connors. Oh, Finn. Thank God. I mean, seriously, thank God that they ended up where his secret identity got revealed, because just the crushing pain of him getting a 0%, I don't know, he could have taken it. But yeah, in this, I want this to end. John goes off, and then Batman comes out of the shows. You see what I'm talking about? Pretty stupid, right? Yep. And then they just start fucking with him like you do, right?
What was that vine? Do you remember it? Where it's that one where it's like, yeah, I'm Jared, I'm 19, I never learned to read.
But it's like, he is so dumb. But you're right. It is pretty accurate. Now, I do want to, and you reminded me something just talking about young John. When you have the powers at Nightwing, like we were saying, there is no tension to it. If you're trying to show Neron as being an idiot, why are you doing that anyway? But when you do have powers like this, we had it with Damien. At one point, Damien got powers, and we were really excited about it because that's you don't know if Damien's going to cross the line. We had
two whole issues.
You don't know, but we had that, right? Remember, like, you don't know what he's going to do. He may take it to, but Nightwing's never going to do that. I mean, even in the play where you end up having Tom Taylor, I mean, Nightwing's done nothing wrong at all. I mean, this guy is a saint among saints through this whole story. Maybe giving him the powers there, you might have been able, I don't think he's going to sacrifice Olivia. But maybe you could have shown something where, oh, you know what? He isn't as great as we think, but Tom Taylor will never do that. So when you end up having this, there's never going to be that tension. There's never going to be that, oh, my God, is he going to act? You know he's not. And then when he has the powers, he's fixing all the woes of the world in 2 hours so he can come back and just say, okay, you can have him back. And, well, he does that. Then who knows what else the hell he does. But he ends up looking at the earth and saying, I have more. I love that he says, beautiful. I've seen this view 1,000,000 times, but boy, right now it looks crazy. I see how fragile it is, Superman. Thanks a lot, you asshole. But at the end, what would you give it?
I think the art is amazing all the way through. I like the ending with Raven and Neron, the idea that we're setting up a bigger mystery in Titans through this book with like something missing from Raven. And I like Slow John because it's the proper depiction of our young Superman that he is. Very young, slow Superman. But beyond that, there's just a lot of fluff and a lot of filler that goes nowhere. Not so quick. 5.8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to give it the chicken strips. I ended up giving it a 6 when I first reviewed because I like Little Buster. But now that I'm going through it, and the backup I didn't even read for my video review, reading that and adding that in, this is nonsense. It's nonsense. Something has to change. You have to get some sort of grit in this. And the idea that Nightwing should be a street level hero, and he's just, you're making up ways with not. Again, we keep saying the powers, but the idea that he still had a charge from Nightmite, I mean, that's fucking lazy ass writing and just ridiculous. So fuck you and your chicken strips. We're going to go up right now. I mean, we're going to go up right now to some mail. It is time for the mail, Eric, and with that, if you want to be part of the mail section, a star like Eric Shea, J-Man, and the return of Repairman Jack, Eric, out of nowhere, you can email us in at weirdsciencedccomics@gmail.com. We're going to start with J-Man, who says, hey, Jim, what's up, Eric?
What's up, J-Man?
He's got a beef with us, Eric. He is mad at us. J-Man does get angry at us sometimes, but that's his right to do, right? He says, well, I got a beef with you both.
Shit.
He does. He's just right out on Front Street. Last week, I listened to your review of Flash 499. I think that was $7.99, right? Yeah, $7.99. So right there, J-Man, you're wrong.
My God.
On the podcast, and I disagree with your need for continuity and cohesiveness in this issue. And as we know, and I should pull up the deal, but as we all know, I'm not exactly the continuity kid. That is more of Eric, or maybe Wrong Turn, who once said this, Eric.
Load up your pistols, continuity people.
Oh God.
Coming to town.
So
coming to town. Eric, see, it just flows. That guy. But sometimes even I have to step in and say, yeah, that's a little ridiculous. I guess I'm in agreement with the Get Fresh crew. I'll tell you, I said earlier in the Badass Roll Call where you ended up having Andrew in Belfast, he ended up sending me a note, and I don't know what but he wrote, Flash, $7.99, what the fuck? That's all he put. So I don't know if he liked it or seemed like he was upset. I guess I'm in agreement with the Get Fresh crew. I read Flash issue with my 8-year-old son. See, that changes things, right? Mm-hmm. Eric might have read it with an 8-year-old. It wasn't his son, though. And once we got to page 4, we were both grinning from ear to ear, kind of like that Grinning Man, one of the best villains ever, and couldn't stop laughing. This is Jeremy Adams' second to last issue on his Flash run. Now, this is his last issue. It's his second to last story because he's not going to have a full issue. He has a story in that big 800, but this is his last, official deal of an issue. If he can't throw everything against the wall for an issue here or there after growing Wally West's legacy for the majority of his run, it's like you're saying he can't ever have fun for fun's sake. Now, here, I'll even step in before Eric loses his mind.
I'm not doing nothing.
He was still telling a story. If he would have ended the Wade stuff earlier and then they were just going to go and have some fun for fun's sake going forward with that, I wouldn't have had a problem at all. This was still continuing what looked like it was an important story. And then he just kind of just said, forget about any sort of anything.
Hey, here's a bunch of old things. I'm going to throw all of this together for no reason whatsoever, just to have a fun time. And it's fine, but it's at the expense of the other characters involved. Everybody on the hero side looked like a chump because they were all scared of all the Mr. Atom, Titano, the Anti-Monitor, as they should be. But because Jeremy Adams, I also put my other characters in here, Gold Beetle and the Omega Bearman, they can take all of them out tag team style, no problem. So everybody was at the expense of his two new characters for a story that didn't even make sense. Now, you had a gigantic, larger story in there with the lost children of Donna and Michael Holt, and you didn't do anything with that. You just had Granny say, I'm kidnapping kids for reasons out here in that fucking, the Palace of Eternity for some reason. I'm like, you're just saying words at that point when you could have told an actual story that was big and important, and it was just a goof.
And where I'm going to bet the idea that story in 800 is just probably going to be a goof. That will be a good but that's what that is. That's the celebration.
And having a goof is fine, but the thing is that made Jeremy Adams' run so special was all the heart that he put into the characters and making sure the West family was depicted as great as they used to be, to bring them back and show why we all miss these characters and why they're so great together. You can have fun along the way, and he definitely had fun. They were just my least favorite issues during a run that I actually really did enjoy. But when he got to the heart of the matter, hell of a writer on that book.
Yeah. Oh, I loved his run. At points we were up and down with it, but overall, I think it's one of the best things that's come out in years. But this issue, you were still continuing what seemed to be a very heartfelt family, and then you just got goofy with it. And I thought, and again, I bet you $1 to a donut, as they say, Eric.
Who says that?
I just did. In that 800, you're going to get a goofy story. You're going to get a fun that's fine. But the idea of finishing up the deal, and we waited all that time for that baby to be born, then he's born and kidnapped, and then you kind of goof it up at the end. Now, who knows how it went down or whatnot, but you didn't need to get that goofy. I mean, and it seemed like there were points where, okay, I'm still in. It's almost like Homer when his, the roast pig's going, it's still good. And then all of a sudden you're like, the Anti-Monitor, what the fuck? Like, that was just, why? Well, but again, a lot of people had fun with it. That's fine. But to me, this issue felt like Jeremy Adams months ago gave DC hundreds of pages for a 7-issue arc where he goes through the missing details in the single issue.
Didn't feel like that to me.
Now, according to him, this was just how it was. I actually asked, hey, did you not have enough time or whatever? I might have offended him by asking it. But no, he's like, no, that was just how I wanted it. That's fine. He's not going to, talk out of class. He's got class. Everything is well-paced, well-explained. Really? Like, nothing's
maybe to your
explained.
8-year-old son.
Nothing's
now
you are. Nothing's explained. Nothing was explained. I mean, the idea that Granny Goodness has these kids makes no damn sense
the world
whatsoever.
The dog's damaged. We have to go on a sliders hunt for a while and then get back months later with a beard and haircut while everybody else is finally shaved.
Speaking of that, Antrim Belfast also said that that's basically the Lucasfilm's way of telling a story. It's just like, oh, well, we did this at this point. Swipe. But in characters, he says everything is well paced, well explained. And characters who seem thrown in for one issue kind of makes sense.
Why was Hourman there?
Only reason Hourman's there is because somebody had to hear through the wall that Granny Goodness was up to shit.
How does that make sense, though?
It doesn't. And seriously, if you say that every character in here made sense, you explain to me what the Anti-Monitor was doing.
Well, the thing is, I can understand that these Titano, Mr. Atom, and the Anti-Monitor showing up. I can understand because of the eternity mind that she had where you can will these things into where you need them as a defense mechanism. But the idea that they're so easily beaten by Omega Bandman and Gold Beetle, that's ludicrous.
Remember, Omega Bandman, they just ran into, like Thor in Guardians of the Galaxy. He just smashed into the shield. Yeah, they might have been. Remember, he was like thrown out of the ring.
Or maybe just in hyper time?
In the last 2 or 3 issues, Adam shows you in an elaborate way what happened on Wally's trip home in the T-ship. What? He says, what? And in the last 2 or 3 issues, Adam shows you in an elaborate way what happened on Wally's trip home. No, we never. After reading through this, DC editorial said, this is a pretty solid arc, but you do realize you only have 1 issue. Well, again, you can say that, but that's on him as well. He knew how many, he got a hold of me in, I think it was November, and told me that his run was ending so he had plenty of time. So it's not like they snuck up on him and went, boo, your run's done, right? Like Wrong Turn. I was talking the other day and I was thinking about Wrong Turn, and when you ended up jumping out to scare him and he didn't react, he was looking right at you. He didn't react. We all started talking, and then suddenly he looked over and jumped. He jumped because then he saw you 5 minutes after you jumped out. That didn't make sense. In response, Jeremy cries for a few minutes. When the tears are gone, Adams proceeds to bleed all over his several 100-page script until what's left is a single. He said that that's not the case, but that's fine. Yeah. At the end of the day, this issue is not about telling a cohesive beginning, end, or this is your last issue of your regular run.
And a victory run is fine, but like, make it mean something.
But that's the problem is, if you're going to say pacing and the overall deal, they should have then have found Wade the issue before, so then you can have, because I would have loved to have had an issue where we get back to having another barbecue, high fives, everybody's having fun. That would be great, but that's not what happened. Established characters in the run. Goes, and he says again, it's all about the setup and execution of getting to page 4 of the story. The reaction, he loved the reaction of the Terrifics minus Mr. T when Wally says the rest of them to deal with the monsters is worth the price of admission. To me, that was kind of lazy storytelling. It's the idea that you take care of them while I'm going and doing things because we need that taken care of. But he says Metamorpho, Phantom Girl, and Plastic Man all look like they're going to completely shit their pants.
But these new characters take it. Yeah.
And this is the thing, like, I don't want to, yet, but I don't even think that, Jamin, have you been reading all the things? Because then you say, and the 2 oddball characters that everybody knows the least about sound like they are batshit crazy enough to take on anyone. I don't know that that's Gold Beetle and Omega Bam Man. Like, it almost feels like you don't know who those characters are and just had fun with them, because they had a Harley Quinn-like comic book magic moments. But again, this should have been a more serious story. I don't need it to be full out serious, but they were going to find a baby that had been kidnapped. It was
just born in the previous issue.
And it just gets crazier from there. This is a part of the movie where you are told to put your 3D glasses on, smoke them if you got them, and check your brains out at the door. But so you're saying that you just told me it was smart, and now you're saying that it's just, check your brain out.
Them 3D glasses did not make Freddy's Dead bearable.
No, and or the what's it called? Jaws 3D.
3D.
But in that all, I think that my main thing is I know that Jeremy Adams is so much better than what they threw together there. But people did have fun. But remember when you were a kid? Fine. Here's the thing now, J-Man. You've been listening a while here. The idea that you think that at any time Eric Shea did not care about continuity. This is not something new. I mean, this is not something that he just came up with a week ago. And you're going to ask him if he cared about continuity in any sort of cartoons, 80s cartoons, you say here. And damn well, you better know that he cared about continuity in a cartoon that was continuity based, which he ends up bringing up G.I. Joe.
The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, I was infuriated as a kid because we didn't have enough episodes to catch all 13 ghosts. They tried to rectify that with a cartoon movie the other year, and it didn't make sense to the rest of the series, and it just ruined me still.
Again, I'm saying all this stuff, and I'm glad J-Man liked it. And this kid, I think that it was something that kids could like. It was the same as that issue where you had to turn it around and, hey, go there, that Dr. Fate deal that we didn't really like. It was a gimmick, but people had fun and said that their kids had fun with it. I'm trying to do it with my tablet and things rotating on me. And I think I was going to throw my computer out the window then. But yeah, I'm
here as an adult who cares about the characters maybe too much to the point where the reason I'm reading these serialized stories is the continuity. Everything that's come before matters so the character can continue to grow and amaze me.
And again, I don't mind having fun. Eric doesn't like that, but I don't
hate that shit.
But the first part of the story, you were setting up something that I kind of really cared about and wanted to see how it was resolved in a different kind of way. It just seemed like a goof by the end, but maybe it's a combo. But he says, the 80s, imagine your big brother coming in with his friends and telling you that this is the total non-cohesive garbage for the sole purpose of trying to convince you to buy all the useless pieces of plastic that resemble the characters in your favorite cartoon. But that's the thing. That's not what this was.
No.
If somebody came in and said, oh, well, Eric, you like the Bugs Bunny, or we even said before this, the Three Stooges, where everything resets, you're just having fun. That's
shorts,
one thing.
The one shots.
Yeah, that's one thing. But when you have, I used to watch the Star Blazers. All of a sudden you're like, Venture's alive now and they're like, bullshit. Like you just threw everything out the window. That didn't quite happen here, but it just was a shame. We just didn't like it. And you do see how the episode you're watching is goofy and nonsensical, but you don't care about it's G.I. Joe fighting Cobra, the enemy, or Mamra trying to steal the Sword of Omens, or Megatron trying to create another Energon cube to get back to Cyber. You're walking on thin ice with Eric Shea here, because these all would drive you nuts and defeat the Autobots for the 100th time, and you love it because you are having fun for fun's sake. But yeah, and again, this is the other thing about it.
But I'm an adult man reviewing a comic book through my perspective and not that of an 80s kid.
I'm 40. You're a man. And you have an 8-year-old kid. And with all that, too, all going on, we also have to read, all the books when doing it for review's sake and things like that. So it's sometimes you do lose out a little on the fun stuff that you can just go, what the fuck? That was fun. But again, if I read it with my kids and they liked it, I would like it a little more.
Yeah, well, that's a great perspective to have on that, because you can say, this is great for kids who have no idea what's going on in the comics.
It is the idea that's kind of, you don't want to sound mean, but it is like, that would be something that an 8-year-old would love, and, because they don't know any better, but a lot of people like it. A lot of people had fun with it. Fun. It's not just J-Man. But he says, keep up the good work, and I'll see you in 7. He's going to yell at us again. But no, it's cool if you like it, and it's better that way. So next one is Repairman Jack, who we haven't heard from in quite some time, Eric. And he says
Did we hear him last week?
No. This is his first email. Okay. I sent you the email that you're supposed to read for this week. Okay. You didn't read it, though. I think I'm back is the header. Forgive me, Father, sir. It's been 4 years, 2 months, and 25 days since my last confession. To be fair, though, the last few emails I sent were mostly things from other than comics, because I mostly fell hard off of whatever the hell Countdown or whatever it was called was working toward. Was it that long? Something randomly happened where I randomly went to check back in on you goofballs and DC overall. The podcast isn't 6 to 10 hours anymore. No, it is not. It is not. Thank God for Aaron. Where's the voicemails? Talked about that on this week's Patreon. We were waxing poetic on this. This is why I think
we already read this email, because everything that he's going to talk about, we have actually talked about. It is funny that we did
talk about the idea of like the whole voicemail, and that took over. That thing became a monster. Where's the random feuding and anger? Still have that. Tom Taylor isn't the golden child everybody wants on a main book anymore.
Right? Some people do.
This show, Alfred's dead. Dick's a billionaire. Crazy, huh? DC has an app. What the fuck has happened? Does Jim even podcast with a mattress behind him up against the wall? No. I've actually, since Repairman Jack last listened to, I think I've changed like 3 locations of where I record. Yeah. The worst might have been when I almost died in the basement, but hey, peace out, basement.
Yeah, worse.
So I went down the other day just to check that I had turned off the heater, because obviously it's getting near summer.
Yeah.
And it's soot everywhere. That is a disaster down there. I didn't clean it up. Anyways, just wanted to check in and say I missed you guys and missed to get fresh crew at large. I need more random bullshit. This podcast isn't long enough anymore. It is funny that he was saying that we were talking out. I need more horror series ranting from Eric. I need more Box Factory stories with pissing out the back door guys and random killing, loving. That's what. He couldn't remember Wrong Turn's name. Oh. So he wants the I love the killing from Wrong Turn. I was supposed to add that in because he was like, can't remember that guy. And I said, Wrong Turn. He's like, oh my God, I feel so stupid. So there you go. I wasn't supposed to talk about that. Random thoughts of a few things I've read recently. Titans. I can excuse most of the scene in front of the Titans Tower as complete setup for wanting to have the Raven Beast Boy relationship to be out there and central, but I can't excuse these people not talking before literally the point of moving in while in front of the media, and also can't excuse not going, yeah, whatever, to Dick talking about the 2 rooms. I get wanting to set up the release. It is kind of funny that they end up like, oh my God, we're heading in there. We better get these ground rules down. And the kissing moment with support being all good, but everything in support of the moment feels so forced and out of place and nonsense that it's hard to even pay attention to that part. That's good. It was nice. I said it was nice. I just thought he was pushing it, like in a weird way, after saying that it was something he didn't need to push because it's always been. Crack theory. Wally's time fuckery is involved with whatever Tempest is doing, and with the Titano attack, them being called for the attack right before entering, and how did he show up out of nowhere seemed too prime for exactly what Wally wanted to happen. We'll see. I'm telling you, the stuff with Wally, you missed a lot, Repairman Jack. Like, that is just complete screw over for that. Batman Brave and the Bold. It's been 4 years, but somehow Tom King has still completely soured me on his writing.
Yep.
Her name's Helen. She's Helen. She wears a green dress. All of his characters just sound so constantly the same. I'm tired and I just got here, Tom. I got to Gordon's second part and just skipped. Fuck, this gives me more Stormwatch, though. Man, make Ravager not suck. Give me more Phantom One and Bones and just give me more of this. Everybody loves it. I'm telling you, even when I ended up talking...
stuff is the best, though.
Even on but again, I think it's the best of a bunch of shit, but still, people seem to really like it, so hey, all the power to them. Maybe, but if they like that, then they definitely, if they haven't been, they should read Batman Incorporated. It has that same fucking feel, because it's Ed Brisson. Just go and do that. Nobody's reading that book. I got ADHD and sidetracked while high and drunk. Oh my God, I thought this was Repairman Jack, not Trevitt. That's a joke. You know what? Trevitt's big play. Did you hear that there was a big accident with the trucks that were carrying the comics, and a lot of people around, the U.S. didn't get their comics. I feel like
you're setting me up for
Marvel.
A joke right now.
No, I'm not. No, they did. And Trevitt.
Hey, did you hear?
No, this is the joke. Trevitt, who spent $800 last week at the comic store.
Oh shit!
Was upset that this truck. I'm like, at least you didn't spend $800. And his response was, yeah, but I'm going to spend $1,600 next week. I'm like, you're insane. Trevor, but yeah, a lot of people didn't get the Marvel comics. I think it was like the Diamond truck ended up, it crashed, Eric. I don't want to joke about it. I think it was a horrific thing that happened, but yeah, he didn't get his comics. $800 last week.
Who's the driver of that truck?
I don't know, Eric. Are you?
I didn't know if he was a part of the Patreon Badass roll call.
Oh, no. You are a hateful guy. I think somebody lost their life, and you're making fun of it.
I don't know anything about this.
I'm going to make a stand, Eric, and I'm telling you, that stand is about 5'2". Right? I was setting you up for a joke. I'm not 5'2". Love you guys.
That's not setting me up for nothing. Just telling people.
I gotta go, and Repairman Jack does one a little. Eric, you're an asshole. Love you guys. Jim, get Eric to read more manga.
No.
And realize what he's missing. Eric,
I'm good.
There is a manga that we had on Manga Monday this past week that I think you'd love the concept of it, because it's kind of horror based, but it's funny, right? It's like my new girlfriend gives me the goosebumps, I believe is the name, or my girlfriend gives me goosebumps. And what it is this kid. It's funny. It's not funny. He falls out of, like, he's a kid, baby. Uh-huh. He falls out of an apartment window. It's like Tears in Heaven all over.
That's all I thought about.
But he ends up, he like lands in a tree, and he doesn't die. But since then, he has that thrill-seeking deal. Like, oh my God, even as a baby, he needs that adrenaline. But he's promised his mom that he won't, like, climb up shit and jump and shit like that, right? So instead of cutting, he likes horror movies. He likes to jump. But then he meets this girl who seems like really nice, but you find out later that she's sus as hell. She is a stalker. It's like Fatal Attraction times 50. And when this kid finds out, the girl, like, oh my God, she's going to, what is she going to do? He likes it. He wants her as a girlfriend because that gets the adrenaline up.
Look,
and it's like a horror movie
the attraction to the crazy, but come on, you got to grow out of that at some point, kid.
It's pretty good. But he's like, a freshman in high school. So
he's
still getting it. But
I remember the face.
And even in this where it's funny, even in it, she says, like, really, you want to date me? And he's like, yeah, this is going to be great. And she's like, really? Because I'm telling you, I go way overboard. Like, you don't know what's going to hit. He's like, no, that's what I want. So it's pretty fun. It's a pretty fun one. I think you'd like it.
Yeah, I'm not going to read it.
right to left. You got it. There are so many horror mangas that you would just love.
But you also know that I don't even like horror comics.
Yeah, but these actually have that feel. You get a little horror from it. It's a horror show. It is just like this show. He says, "Fuck y'all, Repairman Jack." I think you would like some of the manga. You're a hater. Also, he has hashtag Jimmy Jordan, hashtag Heat, hashtag suddenly NBA fan because of gambling.
Jeez.
Go Heat, though. I like Jimmy Butler. You big Jimmy Butler fan? Okay.
Bobs.
Yeah, obviously. So we're done with them now. We're going to go up to our last section of books. We got 3 books, one better than the other. Whew, we got some things coming up here. We got a Megan Fitzmartin. We got the battle of the Megan Fitzmartin versus Teenie Howard to see who is the worst. You've already said.
Say that. It might be the best issue of Tim Drake Robin, though.
Really? You think that? I did not.
What do you think is the best issue of Tim Drake Robin?
Probably the one that you liked and gave it the book of the week. Might have been.
Again,
this one sucks.
Maybe that was just about, nostalgia, the idea that it could be great, because it's not that good, but it's still.
This one, I don't even know what's going on with, Bernard knowing stuff, but now not. And then also the worst Batwoman I've ever seen written in my entire freaking life. But we'll see what we think when we get to that. Next,
and he speaks for all Batwoman fans.
Well, again, I just speak for me, and that was bullshit. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it right after this. Oh, yes, and here we are. We have those 3 books that we already started arguing about, so I'm ready. See, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get little hints. What you ended up. You fell right into my trap like a steel trap. Boom, it got you.
Jim's going to hate on something, and I'm trying to say, no, it's not that bad. The end.
It's weird. I mean, I wanted to get you, and I set the bear trap. Maybe I should have used the twink trap. Oh, my goodness, there. That's hateful.
Is it?
No. It's hateful to you. Oh, you fucking asshole. Yeah, I just don't like you. Repairman Jack's got me all fired up. He wants the tension, and he needs the struggle. That's what he needs.
Look, he can't see you trying to get up the stairs. You tell me I'm
the clown maker, I'm going to fucking kill you. The one thing you remember, I love the idea that people were talking about things and they were talking about our City Boy review from the Patreon. I do believe what they were talking about is suddenly I was saying that Cameron, City Boy's mom, might have been a hooker. But still, Eric, you're not joking. When people ask you about things, we did a podcast less than 12 hours. It's gone. You don't remember shit. I will even bring up stuff after we get done tonight. I'll say, man, I'll say, what did you say that I was going to call? And you'll have no idea what I'm even talking about. You thought Repairman Jackson in 3 emails.
I'm telling you, I thought we did that email last week.
No, we did not. But here we are, Eric Shea. But yet you have a way better memory than me. That just makes me think that you don't get
clown maker.
Maybe it is the long term you have, but the short term. I have good short term, right, Eric?
My brain is so filled up with all of this amazing nonsensical bullshit. Amazing nonsensical bullshit that I have to keep deleting stuff to make sure that I can retain it.
So you actually have what you're saying is your hard drive, not very good. You have to keep clearing shit out. You know what's weird is I have this computer, and I had a computer with a terabyte hard drive, right? That was fine. And then all those computer problems I had, and this one I didn't realize, but it has a 500 gig. I don't get but it freaks me out to get to 200, and I have to start deleting shit for no reason. And it's something that I can't, it fucks with me. It really does, right? I don't want to run short. You fucking jerk.
I didn't do anything.
I'm telling you, I know that you're smiling. I need video so I can tell you. If we had video, even just for me and you, right? I might have punched the screen by now. I probably would have. I get so angry, but not as much anymore. Maybe that's what we need to have.
You might be growing as a person.
That's not. Here we go. Doom Patrol number 3. You like the Doom
Unstoppable
Patrol?
Doom Patrol number 3.
Well, yeah, it's unstoppable every time I start reading it. Right? When does this fucking thing stop, Eric? Oh my goodness, this issue's okay, and now the dogs are going nuts. I end up where I've kind of come to terms with this book and what it isn't, so I'm kind of okay with it a little more. And it's a mini. It's not doing much, but what the fuck? That's it. What the fuck? It's like the risky business of fucking books. Doom Patrol number 3. What happened? All of a sudden I got real goofy. We didn't take time between these segments.
Not at all.
Here. I don't know what happened. I do have, maybe some pills or something, maybe. It's a little late for me to take any. I'm going to put that one back here. Doom Patrol number 3, written by Dennis Culver. Art by Chris Burnham, Brian Reber, and Pat Rousseau. And yeah, I mean, it's one of those books to me. If you like what's happened so far and you just want a goofy little thing with stuff happening, whatever, I don't really know how to explain it.
This is J-Man's dream right now because you don't have to have any kind of deep knowledge of everything. It's just here in your face for pretty much this issue because the Doom Patrol, it's even weird too because the idea where Lazarus Reign happened, people's metagenes are being activated and they're going around all X-Men style trying to recruit new people into the Doom Patrol to keep them safe from, them using their powers and people prejudicing against them. And this issue is like every on where we pick up a new guy. The Green Lanterns are trying to take him out because he happens to be a Starro, but different than a normal Starro the Conqueror. And we have to learn how to see past the differences. The Doom Patrol is in charge no matter what the Green Lanterns want to say. And it's just the Green Lanterns trying to catch up to Negative Man Cliff Steele. And sadly, Starbro, as they drive back to the shelter.
Brodock?
That's all I thought about was Brodock.
With Kelly Thompson. That's all I thought of too now.
You know what the worst part is? I watched the Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania the other day because it's finally on Disney Plus, and they have MODOK.
Did you like the MODOK in that? Everybody hated it.
The thing is, I don't care about MODOK. It's just not my MODOK. It's one of the cool things about Marvel movies because I'm so invested in DC. I have to sit there and not have any fun with DC movies, but they change things from Marvel movies. If it's outside like Spider-Man or X-Men, and even that, Spider-Man and X-Men from like 20 years ago and back, if you do anything different there, I don't care. So you could do whatever you want. But when I talked about who MODOK was to Jess as we're watching the movie, then I had to talk about Brodock, and then I got angry.
Brodock. He's for kissing, not for killing. Yes. But so you end up having this, and okay, here's the thing. And you're going to say the thing that me and you were talking about before, but the idea where you start this out, this is a Dawn of DC book. There's no reason that you have to start this out anyway that then you have to have an asterisk. This takes place before Green Lantern number 1. What are you doing here? I mean, I know you want to have Kyle and Guy.
You got to understand because Green Lantern number 1 is part of Dawn of DC. But Dawn of DC, before you know it, was going on before Green Lantern number 1.
You claim this. And
I'm trying to make this shit work. I'm trying to figure out when Starro the Conqueror came down and started taking people over left and right, where it seems like this guy who has become Starbro, his metagene just personally activates when Starro goes onto his face instead of a Lazarus Reign effect, which seemed to be the catalyst of this entire mini.
It's already lost any sort of whatever. I mean, you can go into this if you want to get these characters. You can have fun with it, I guess, but there's no story going on here. There's nothing of substance. You're just having goofy little things. And if you like that, that's fine. But me personally, even going back with Gray and reading and talking about it, in the podcast and on his YouTube, the Wakasashi's Tea House, if you're interested, the idea that we're talking about the Grant Morrison thing, we're only 2 issues in, but already in those 2 issues.
Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol. I've had that's all character work, and I'm getting invested in the characters. So I do know a little more in what they're talking about here, unlike what I complained about when I first read that first issue here. But even so, you're not doing anything. You're not doing it. And even then, you are going to go and play around where in this Negative Man, he ends up where the negative force, it goes off and it kind of dicks around with Guy and Kyle. But at the end, it could have knocked them out right away at the beginning. The issue over. It's ridiculous.
It couldn't get past the Green Lantern shield.
Yeah, well, he's there at that one point going, but then later he just sneaks up. You just have to sneak up on him the first time. I mean, that's all they do the second time. But in this, it's just nothing. There's nothing to this. I mean, at one point you have animal, vegetable, mineral men, and they're...
And then, again, it is a one-page shot where, hey, where's the rest of the Doom Patrol? They're taking on animal, vegetable, mineral men, because he's a guy that we face a lot. He's doing stuff. But the majority of the issue is Negative Man and Robot Man taking Starbro to the shelter before the Green Lanterns can catch up. But ultimately, they do catch up. And we just have to explain, hey, guys, can't we all just get along until Starbro... Exactly. And Starbro, he's under our care, but it doesn't matter because the Green Lantern, Sky Gardner, and Kyle Rayner would have taken the Doom Patrol out, but Starbro uses telepathy to mess with the rings. And I can't even say mess with the rings, mess with their mind to make them think that the rings were giving them alert back on Oa that they had to skedaddle right quick, just leaving our 2 Doom Patrol members free to get back home.
And that's the thing, like the overall, there's no overall story.
No.
They're getting chased by
Guy even the
Kyle.
idea of, like, we talked about in the previous issue, or even in the first issue, where I thought the first issue was doing a half-decent job of letting new readers know who the Doom Patrol members are, what they're about, and stuff like that. The second one, I thought they didn't do as much, because then you had, like, Dorothy Spinner there. You have no idea who she is. It's just, just the grave and Robot Man's there. You have no background of why that's important if you're new to reader. In this one, you get the idea, hey, Robot Man, I used to drive for a living. All right, you got that little background there. And even Negative Man talking about the background when he was Rebus, which is an in-continuity thing, but, Cliff never called him, Cliff never called him Rebus. He always called him Larry, and I want you to call Starbro because it always bothered me when you didn't call me Rebus, even though I told you my name was Rebus. And Robot Man's got to apologize then. That's the growth and the characterization you get this issue, because everything else, it's just we got to outrun them Green Lanterns.
Yeah, and it's a weird play. It's just basically whatever anybody wants to be called. You can go with this as wherever you want, but just call people what they want. But the idea where you're almost throwing Cliff under the bus, because Cliff never realized that, because he never ended up really saying, oh, I want you really to call me. Like, he knew Larry.
Yeah, I called you Larry because you're my friend Larry.
Yeah, because you're Larry, and he didn't realize, and so now it's like, hey, I'm sorry about that, but that's it. I mean, you're
And it's so funny. How long ago did that Grant Morrison Doom Patrol come out that we're finally dealing with that now? It's so weird.
It's been now 30 years. 30 years. It's been about 32 years, I think it might be, something like that. It's like 89. I think it's when that last bit, or when it started out Grant Morrison's run, and you had the Rebus stuff right there. But that isn't anything anybody's been worrying about. You know what I mean? It's okay. But it's only there because Starbro.
It's the most character work you can.
Well, again, but yeah, and it's really nothing. It's just so that you
even the
say,
idea,
well, call him Starbro.
We're going to drive through Smallville because this is Superboy's hometown, and no way that the Green Lanterns would want to come through here and disrespect Superman like that. And I'm like,
and then they say that just to have Guy, and Guy's kind of a dick, but again, you don't really get much of him. And Kyle, you get even less.
And when you do get Guy Gardner, he looks like a monstrosity. Like, the art is fine for the most part. When you get a close up of Guy, his face is horrific to me.
He looks like he's been drinking a lot. He's very puffed out, right? He looks a little puff daddy.
You sad old drunk Guy Gardner.
Yeah, look at him there. But yeah, overall, I mean, really, what else is there to talk about? Nothing happens
you did it.
until the end. You get a cliffhanger to just say, okay, this is where we'll move on to the next deal.
Oh yeah, the idea that we are putting the freaking the Brotherhood of Evil together still, because we didn't deal with that in the last issue. But you do get Hungan, sent the head of the brain right now. Okay, Brotherhood of Evil's back on,
and it's a weird play.
It's the most important part of the story to me, and I forgot about it because I was like, it just seemed like the idea is like, all right,
I bet there's a lot of people who read this that had no idea what was even going on. It's not explained.
Like, each issue is just like, okay, let's get a new meta and we're going to bring them back. That was it. But you did have that amazing stuff, which was my favorite part in the first issue, where you had Mala going against the brain and killing him. And I'm like, for General Mortis, I'm like, well, that's some huge stuff.
And again, we're 3 issues in of 6. And do we have enough room? Even this, you get Beast Girl with the slug, the worm, in that one panel where it's like, hey, what are the rest of the guys doing? And you have that, that should be bigger. Nothing's going on. I do like the art, except for Guy's face. I agree with you there. But overall, it's a nothing book in my mind. And now you're just goofing off.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Once you have Starbro, you're just goofing off.
Starbro, you're just goofing off. So what would you give it?
5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm giving it a regular 5 as well. But we'll move on to the next book, which, Eric, you already said is your book of the week. I think I heard you say that during the mail.
You say that every week for some reason. But it's a penultimate issue, Jim. Did you know that? A penultimate issue.
Yep.
Tim Drake Robin, number 9, written by Megan Fitzmartin, with art by Nicholas Ismesia, Lee Lalridge, and Joss Reed. But no, this whole thing with Tim Drake Robin, it's been a shit show this entire time, and now we're going back to the Batman Urban Legends part of the story. It introduced, Bernard being a part of the Chaos Monster cult that was going to sacrifice him because pain is better than what he was feeling personally because of his life. The Chaos Monsters are back, and in the previous issue we saw that, for some reason Batwoman fell out of the sky. She's got blood covered all over herself. Chaos troops are in the streets killing people, trying to get the Robin's attention, We have Batwoman go to the man in the suit who's in charge of the Chaos Monsters on top of everybody, only for him to take control of her and tell Tim Drake, what are you doing trying to protect a child murderer? And we pick her from there.
Child.
We just have the idea where, Batwoman's like subdued by this man. She's able to break free and the guy gets away, but we put a tracker on him so we can get back to him later. And once that part's over, I don't mind the issue because
I'm telling you, well, let's just start from the beginning and talk about the idea. Do you like the art? Because I thought the art was awful.
The thing is, the art is better than Riley Rossmo, and I think it's comparable, like in style-wise. Like if you're reading kind of thing, it's not great art by any means, but I think it's better than we had been getting. But I still think it's close enough to try to match that in like a trade situation.
Well, Riley Rossmo hasn't been on the book for like 4 issues,
but we've had that kind of style going on, though.
But the thing, that one issue we had where we were losing our mind about
that
the whole
one
thing,
issue was good, though. God, yeah, that looked great. You're right.
You end up having, first off, is Tim Drake now 70? And this is more of, coloring, but his back of his hair is gray. I mean, his whole back of his head is gray hair. Then you have to play
that's called
deal.
A sweet fade.
Yeah. Well, then you go and it's like almost laughable, this page and this detective work. It's like the shock on Batwoman's face is real. I'm like, she looked like she's dead. Like, I know you have a close up of her eye there, but you're actually showing me a woman who's bleeding out one half of her face, no expression, and white eyes. And, oh my God, she does look shocked and it's real. I'm like, no. Then he's talking about the blood and how she must have dipped things. Then you get to the guy and it's like, hey, but still, there's sweat on his forehead. All right.
Means he's telling the truth.
And white knuckles. He is literally choking out Batwoman at that point, and he thinks, oh, the sweat and the white knuckles, that means that he believes what he's saying. No, I believe that he's an asshole and he's trying to kill her. I don't get, you are just making things up to fit a story, and it's bullshit. And before we get even further than that, I think that this is just an awful Batwoman. Yeah, she's upset, but the idea that...
Not only upset, she's missing a lot of her own time, too. She's out of sorts. She thinks she might have killed a child at this point. She's covered in somebody else's blood, and she's out for freaking vengeance at this point to clear her name and find out who did this to her.
But what I'm talking and always about Megan Fitzmartin, she doesn't mention that at all in this issue. Mm-hmm. She doesn't mention it once. And it's fine. We read the last issue. Yeah, but still, when you're acting like an ass, not everybody remembers this. Because now she's just scumbag, GCB. Like, you lose track of what's going on and why it's terrible. She doesn't remind you. She doesn't say, you scumbag, you took all my memories. You set me up. Nothing. She just wants to throw a guy off a building and then just starts going against Tim Drake for some reason, telling him he's an asshole, and it just doesn't add up to me. I know.
Well, she thinks that he's an asshole too because Bernard has background with the Chaos Monsters. We got to go talk to Bernard, but even the mention of the Chaos cult that he was a part of, it puts him into a PTSD situation. So Bernard's out of sorts from how you normally know Bernard. He's trying to fight his way through this by basically fighting a punching bag. But you have this going on where you have Tim Drake. He's in a weird situation, rock in a hard place, because both Bernard and Batwoman, his only, people in this whole thing together at this point, are not themselves, and they're fighting against this, trying to get to the bottom of this.
To me, a Batwoman is not going to be not herself. Shit has happened to Batwoman. Just because right now she can't remember this and she's got blood, I don't think she loses her mind completely like this to be an asshole. It's just an asshole to react so Tim can be the good guy and get mad at her and whatnot. And then Bernard is completely off his rocker. Oh, we didn't want to talk about this before. But most people, again, you're not really setting up or telling people what all this is. You're just throwing. All of a sudden, Bernard seems like he's completely lost his fucking mind. And even me and you, we read that urban legend story, which, that happened years ago. And now you're just going to throw this in without any sort of way to kind of get people on board if they didn't read it or they forgot it. And I just think it's awful, awful storytelling. I think that this whole issue is awfully done. Again, you think that it's, some things or whatever, but, you're relying on a lot of people knowing or reading something to just know.
Well, I'm relying on me knowing this and knowing you knowing this.
Some of it I didn't remember. It took me a couple things where I'm like, what? Oh, yeah. You have to at least mention some of these things. We said, you explained the Chaos Monsters from back
the
in
Chaos Cult is crazy. It's all about like almost Hellraiser pain is pleasure situation, but it never really went anywhere because it was just a way to get Tim Drake, together with Bernard.
Yeah, that's all it was.
That was the main point of that urban legend story, with some chaos cult and some demon things going on. But that wasn't the real reason there, so they never really worried about that aspect. But for some reason, brought it back here.
It's worse, though, because last issue, they didn't worry about it. But now you have to have them back, and they say, oh, the evidence didn't stick, which makes no damn sense. And then they're just there.
They must have Two-Face's lawyers.
Jesus Christ. And they're just there. And again, we haven't really seen Bernard. He went from 0 to 60 on the crazy meter, and it just throws you off a bit, though we kind of get it because we read those stories. But still, in that last issue, you ended up with the issue before where Bernard's like, I know that Tim's, the deal. At this point, he might just say, hey, listen. I know this, let's go, but
I assume we're going to get that for the final issue next month.
But in this, it sets up this whole scene where, oh man, I can't let him know this, and I wish I was here as Tim, and this could easily be taken care of. And then we've talked about it before, how the fuck he gets in and out of that marina. And then you have it here, it makes no damn sense.
It's the worst part of the book because you, for some reason, decided, man, the marina neighbors are going to be a big part of this book. And, characters like Pie who hang out with these other assholes on this other boat. But when you have Tim Drake coming back to his boat as Robin, where all he can do is, there's no high enough freaking buildings around the marina. He just kind of drops down onto his boat.
Swim and come in a hatch on the bottom.
Something along those lines. Because even he says, I got to find a better way to do this. Because you do.
But when he just figured this out, though, is the problem.
Yeah.
Because this should have been a problem from day one.
You have him on this boat coming in at 7 a.m. where there's people on the docks already, including the character Pie, who sees Robin land on there, comes and knocks on Tim Drake's door, and for some reason, Tim Drake is half naked, sees the Robin costume behind him, and the only thing Pie thinks about, you're fucking Robin behind Bernard's back. Are you slow John Pie? Why is everybody an idiot this week? Put two and two together. He looks exactly like Robin.
It's Tim Drake with the domino mask, and she sees this oh my God. And if she ended up saying, coming in and oh my God, I knew there was something. We don't really know Pie.
And Pie's just here. Hey, marina neighbors, look out for each other. That's all I'm here for.
That's all you needed. If she ended up coming in and she's like, oh, now I know why you always disappear. And he's like, oh my God, I'm going to have to kill you. And
oh my God.
If he's like, oh my God, don't tell anybody. All you have to do, really, the play here would have been cool. I don't know if you'd agree. Not the killing part. But you end up where Pie sees this and knocks on the door and says, you know what? You bet, almost oh my God, what's she going to do? And Tim's like, oh my God. And she's like, we all know. We've known since day one. We're not going to tell.
I kind of hate that too because I don't want everybody to know the identity of the Bat family.
But I'm saying it's so ridiculous of what was going on. I don't mind that if you would have said, all of a sudden he's freaking out. Even the idea that Tim's trying to get out of it by going, oh no, that's Robin. He got nude and and then they're like, listen, calm down, boy. Calm down, you little boy.
Boy wonder.
We all know, we're not that stupid.
Boy,
we all know.
I wonder where Tim Drake is.
And then all of a sudden the best is, they're like, we know that it's you. I mean, it's obvious. And then Tim's such an idiot in this. He goes, what's Bruce Wayne Batman going to say now? And now all shit's gone down. And then he's like, oh my God, I hope that Barry Allen and Wally West Flashes don't find out. And he just ruins everything. And
then he says something about Clark Kent, Superman, they all have a stroke because of what Lex Luthor did.
Really? They're all dead. But I would have liked I love the play where you think that somebody has been duped but they knew all along and they didn't say. And it's like Lex Luthor when he reveals that
Bernard's
he knows
doing right now.
Well, that's Bernard's doing, but Bernard, it's a little more personal. The idea that the story can't progress, this is just them. And that would explain why he kept coming in plain daylight and they did know. So
I'm telling you, it's a terrible scene.
And again, I would have liked Bernard to say, listen, and even then, you can assume that Bernard might think that Batwoman kind of knows. She's a hero as well. So I can say, listen, I know you're Tim, let's work this out or whatever, but everybody's trying to keep secrets and nonsense.
They are, because this is not exactly the time because Bernard doesn't want to talk about the Chaos Monsters because it's traumatized him so much. Batwoman's a goddamn mess because of what the Chaos Demons have done to her, and everybody is just out of sorts, and Tim is stuck in the middle.
Batwoman has gone through too much to be losing her mind like this, that she goes to a kid there and just starts screaming and yelling and losing her fucking mind about it. We always say, like, the idea where you dumb down
she gets the job done.
A villain. Like, they're like, oh my God, the Anti-Monitor, he's taken out, that makes him look worse. This is the idea of making Batwoman look like a real bitch to make Tim look better. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. The way that she is losing her mind.
The military background and all this, it really seems right for the interrogation way that she wants to get the answers out of this kid.
I've never seen anything like this in any time that, I haven't read every Batwoman book, but I've never
she even
seen
took the shot against
like
Clayface.
Yeah, but it just, that even felt like it was more of like, a little bigger than just, oh my God, I can't remember this. And she knows that blood, they already tell, it's just nonsense. But yeah, the idea of going and just being a bitch, I thought it was overdone. And then the idea, again, Pie sits there and says, oh my God, you better not cheat on Bernard. And then he's like, oh my God, let's hug. I don't even understand
even the idea.
Hug. Like,
just wanted to make sure everything was all right. Bernard is a good boy. Don't mess it up. Wait, Pie, why did you check on me? It's hard out there. Being there for our friends, that's the only thing we can do, no matter what. Hug time.
And I'm like the idea that she still must think that he's fucking Robin.
Dumb as hell.
Yeah, what are they? It's nonsense. This whole fucking series just sucks. And again, it's the awful writing. Nothing was ever said. I end up, out of nowhere, what I do need is James to show up. Hey, everybody, it's me, James again.
James, the landlord.
They're like, wait, how did you get out of jail?
Aren't you Moriarty? I don't know.
The evidence didn't stick, bitch. I'm back.
The thing is, we never figured out if James was a real person or something that Moriarty was just pretending to be. Did Moriarty actually have the lease on this boat and could kick Tim out at any time?
I'm telling you, next thing you know, they're like, oh my God, Tim Drake is Robin. And then that one kid who was venomed up Clayface that fell in the ocean and dissolved, he comes back out. No, I'm Tim Drake. Oh my goodness gracious, he's falling apart. What the fuck happened? Get me back in that bathtub. You start talking about stories.
But
this is like that book I read back in the day.
But ultimately, after Tim has his heart-to-heart at 7 a.m. with his neighbor Pie, I guess nighttime falls. He realizes, I got to get back on Batwoman, figure out where she is, go to all those places that he thinks she would be. Ultimately goes back to her apartment where the windows outside the skyscraper are broken into. He goes in only to be confronted by a bunch of Chaos Demons that have set a trap for him to wait. So that's a cool thing where he's fighting this off, though, where he is just completely surrounded in this really grotesque kind of form.
Means. I'm like, man, there's like 10-eyed men.
Sure
Chaos monsters. People aren't going to know what this is. Nobody's reading this book anymore anyway.
Well, Tim's in a rough spot for his final issue. I know that.
Yeah, I think he might make it out. I would guess that how this usually plays out, and I think that, Megan Fitzmartin is a hack. You're going to get saved by Bernard, who's going to come in. He'll do the saving. He'll end up, oh, I knew this was going to happen, and then Batwoman to come in. You have one more thing. What's she going to come in? By the way, I just found out I didn't kill any kids. Bada big. I don't.
I assume Batwoman will show back up and not Bernard, because I don't think that Bernard knows where Kate Kane lives.
No, I think Bernard is going to reveal that he has a tracker, some bullshit on him because he knows. It's going to be bull. They'll have dinner at the end and, that's it. But whatever happened, is his dad still so hateful, and is he going to go back and live with his mom? Because who wants to live in a marina? I don't. And did those people die in that fire?
Bernard has his own place. He doesn't have to live with Tim.
His mom wants him to come back. His mom asked him to come back, but remember that looked like a dungeon. That looked like a medieval fucking castle.
That's how you know it's fancy.
Those doors. And then the dad's gone because he was a piece of shit. But was that just the whole idea of Phobia playing with him? Yeah, that seemed the anger and hate were real. But what would you give this?
Ultimately, the art's not the best, but I think it goes with the series so far, so I can't fault it because it does get the job done. I like Tim Drake here. The idea that he's trying to get to the bottom of all this, even with Batwoman, supposedly being a child killer. He's not going to push Bernard to the breaking point, and he's willing to stand up against Batwoman, who you never see him fight against, even though he gets his ass kicked. He is willing to do this. It's a cool scene. The biggest problem I have is that Pie scene, because instead of having Pie be there being the ultimate fucking dummy, check in on Sparrow, because we have one thing talking about what happened to Sparrow in the last issue with Detective Williams.
Yeah. At one point he says it's fine. He's like, Detective Williams has that taken care of. It looks like her guts are coming out.
Please have that
That's
scene instead of
There's
Sparrow. Check it on your friend.
This.
But ultimately, at the end, I look forward to see how this is going to end, because while I can't tell you everything about the Chaos Cult and what it means, because it was always nonsense, I want to see how Tim Drake's going to get out of this and hopefully have some kind of conclusion to this story that makes sense on top of Batwoman supposedly being a child. But I'm giving it a 6 out of 10.
I feel like I'm at like a drive-through, right?
Fuck your chicken strips.
Fuck your chicken strips there.
Don't do that at a drive-through.
Again, in my mind, I know that it's whatever story you're telling, but just the idea that I'm sitting there and I'm supposed to believe that legitimately Batwoman killed some kids. Oh my God, she must have killed these kids. It's just as bad as, oh my God, is Nightwing going to keep these powers? It's nonsense. No,
I can believe this more. The idea that, let's say
really think that people that somebody's going to write a story and know that, we're going to have her be a child killer.
Well, before they had the whole idea that she was raped by a vampire that people got all pissed off about and stuff
that's something being done to her as well.
But
this
the
is
idea,
her killing kids.
Yes, but not again, let's say her mind was taken over and they used her body to do it.
It still wouldn't matter. Nobody would, they'd say, why are you doing that to her? Why are you getting this character to be, because she's a child killer then.
No, she's not. Her body was used to do that. It's not her, but she still has the blood on her hands that would affect her later.
What have we seen set up that any of these guys can take away a month away and make you become a child killer? It's nothing set up that way.
We don't know anything about it. No, we don't even know how she fell from the goddamn sky into freaking Robin's boat.
We're never going to find out. They're just going to say chaos monsters. Oh, that's why. Oh, they must have gotten them. We're never going to, there's only one issue left. There's not even enough time to even tell half a story of Tim getting away from these fucking assholes. And there's no way that in that one issue you're going to say, oh, by the way, she did kill kids. Those were really it's not happening. So I'm not even going to even say that I'm going to pretend that I have any tension in the idea. It's going to be that they set her up.
Why does the head of the Chaos Cult believe? And
I don't even know that's the head of the guy. That was just the guy who was there at that one attack. I don't even.
Yeah, the higher ups wear suits. They talked about in the last issue, but the idea that he was so adamant that she killed a child, but he didn't seem happy about it. He seemed angry and disgusted by it. So what's that mean?
It's going to mean nothing. What has ever meant anything? James. It was Moriarty. The idea of people with the venom that disappeared and you had in this book legitimately. One of the cases, or at least part of it, was solved by Tim Drake throwing up on something. Yeah. I'm never going to trust any of this shit. So I just all is fucking nonsense. Fuck it. And also, I mean, if you really want to see how crazy Bernard is, that one deal where it's like, I don't know anything. I've never seen somebody more crazed as he is there. Oh my goodness gracious. Look at him. Yeah, again, it's fine to play the game of it was so traumatic that he didn't want to talk about it. But since you didn't talk about it, nothing was ever set up or you ever got that feeling. So there you go. There you go. But we'll go to the last book. And boy, I hate this one more. How can it be, Eric? How can it be? But we'll agree on this one. Harley Quinn, number 30, written by Tini Howard, art by Sweeney Boo, and Steve Wan. Sweeney Boo does a lot.
Did you have a stroke? What happened?
No, she does the inks and the colors as well.
Okay.
So I was making a joke.
I was like, Sweeney Boo. I actually got worried for you for a second.
No, Sweeney Boo. I think that Sweeney Boo might be one of those that, like, one for may not even have inks. I don't know. You know what Tini Howard doesn't have? A fucking clue. Is what she does. This book.
She has a clue of what she's doing. It just doesn't make sense for anything that anybody would want to read. I don't want to speak for all Harley Quinn fans, obviously. No, because that shit will get you in trouble.
Eric, no. Step back a bit. You can.
Oh, shit. All right.
Speak for every single one of them, please.
Tini Howard might have an idea about what she wants to do with the character. It's just nothing that anybody who enjoys Harley Quinn wants to read.
Well, what she's doing is, like, just fucking around. I mean, there's there's a story, but not really. And you're doing things that also would drive an Eric Shea insane, even though by the end you're going to play off rules that you're not using probably to get the rules back. Because the idea that the zoo crew die is near impossible, but then you're going to probably use that to make them come back somehow. But in this whole play, I will tell you that I don't mind one thing in this, and I don't know about you, but the female furries, that made me laugh. That actually is pretty funny in a zoo crew deal.
Of that, because Let's talk about this. I'm sorry. Let's get
bad.
real. Let's get real for a second because we do have Earth 26 here, which is
the chair around.
Let's turn the chair around because we got to talk to the kids. We have to have real talk right now.
Child.
Earth 26, the Zoo Crew universe where you have cartoon physics. Let's just put this off to a side where because it's cartoon physics, nobody can really die. But let's go back before that where you had Darkseid. Well, Darkseid, he exists.
You mean
like No, I mean Darkseid.
Oh, you mean really
Darkseid exists. As Darkseid. He has this one form on Apocalypse, but throughout the multiverse, he had avatars that represented him where you could have multiple Darkseids on multiple Earths. Ever since the Infinite Frontier, Darkseid had all his forms come together to become the ultimate form of Darkseid. I don't know if that was ever changed after, Infinite Frontier, after Dark Crisis when he was teleported away, but you should not have an avatar of Darkseid in the Earth 26 called Backside. Any of that should not be a thing because you don't have any other avatars of Darkseid anymore.
Now you're
this one
nerd,
is ridiculous. I know.
And so
real talk.
That's real talk. But let's get to the other real talk. This book is garbage. I mean, you end up where we talked about the idea that it's tough for some people to write Harley because you're always trying to Harley it up. But she goes beyond that. I mean,
damn right you do. You got Earth 26 and cartoon the shit out of it.
That's what I'm saying. You're cartooning the shit like. I think that she might be having fun, what she's doing, but for some reason, for how much it should be fun, it's infuriating. It ends up where it's just nonsense. And it's not even me saying, well, the Zoo Crew needs a little more, respect here.
Well, I think they look badass and amazing here.
I like the art a lot in this, especially with the Zoo Crew, but you're playing up this deal where, I don't know, you're supposed to care about this deal. And, but then you throw in, your jokes. You have Backside that's looking for the panty line equation. All right. Well, now there you go. I like the female furries. That made me laugh. But when
I like how freaking swole Fastback is.
Yeah.
Look at him.
I'm telling you, though, the idea of the panty line equation.
Oh, no. I'm telling you, at this point in time, I checked my mind out because if I had kept it going, pure continuity kid Eric Shea, I don't know if I would be here right now to do this podcast with you because I would have been locked up into the hospital.
Yeah, it's bad. But in it, it's one of those things where you really find out in this where, okay, you have a couple jokes going and maybe we get, but you can't, it's just too much.
You got all the jokes. The panty line equation is here with Backside and his female furries. Abracadabra has the freaking thing that she needs. Here, Captain Carrot. I am going to bring you the Vorpal fish that would be able to defeat Backside in our time of woe. And at that point in time, Harley Quinn used her new multiversal powers that Lady Quark told us all about previously and how she has to stop it to take that fish out of this continuity and bring it to her fight with Two-Face, which then put Earth 26 into dire straits where everybody in the Zoo Crew besides for Captain Carrot was killed by Backside, even though it's cartoon physics and people can't die here. But whatever. And now Harley Quinn, being who she is and has to talk to Khalid Nassour, who's now the secretary for Zatanna whenever she's out doing stuff like sexual things with Constantine Rabbit. She realizes, fuck, we can't screw up the multiverse with magic and all that because Zatanna and Khalid both told me I can't do that. But you know who does stuff like this? The Flash. So I'm going to order online from the Flash Museum a cosmic treadmill where my cosmic guardians, Bud and Lou, will use their power to run fast enough on the cosmic treadmill to open up a doorway to the multiverse so me, Harley Quinn, can go to Earth 26 to give Captain Carrot his Vorpal fish back. But it's too late. What am I reading? What did I just say?
Basically in that, it's like when she gets there, I said to you, it's pretty much Thor. Depressed Thor is just what he's doing. Now, here's what I think, and I don't speak for all Harley fans either, but the idea where you have Harley, right? Harley's already going to be cartoony.
She ordered a cosmic treadmill. It came to the door in less than a day, and she was able to activate it. And put it together.
Yeah, and then she's like, I hope this isn't a model, but it's not.
This is the most out-of-continuity book I think I've dealt with in a long time.
And they keep pressing that it's continuity. The thing about this, you have to have something, we've talked about it from the first issue that she did. Something has to ground this book to make the fantastical mean it in the reality. And when you end up having a cartoony Harley that's so over, like Kevin's completely fucking left. He was the thing that grounded her. So that's a shame. Kevin. But you need some sort of reality here to make the jokes work, to make everything great. And so when you end up having the cartoony world of the Zoo Crew actually seems to be more reality based than the fucking regular world is Harley. And that you can't do that. It doesn't. It's just too much on top of too much. It's just jokes for joke's sake, and the idea that it is losing any sort of grip. It's like you're reading the thoughts of a mad woman here, and that's what I think's going on. But she thinks that what she has to do is tell jokes, and that's it. And everything's on top of it. She ends up where she's there as this teacher. That could have been the grounding thing. But in that, she's on the phone with Khalid while the one girl's there trying to get, hey, I need to talk to you about this. But, oh, wait a second right now. Yeah, Khalid, it's too much. And then you get this, God, Cosmic Treadmill should mean more than this bullshit. And then, hey, Bud and Lou, you want to go? And you go on it, walkie. I'm like, fuck you.
Down already at this point because I don't know what I could have done with my right mind when I got to that Cosmic Treadmill part for the in-continuity Dawn of DC Harley Quinn book.
Oh, my goodness gracious. It's one of those things where I don't even know. I throw my arms up. It's that bad. It's that bad that nothing makes sense except.
Now, if you don't care about anything in the DC universe and you read this,
I still don't think it's fun.
You could probably have some fun because it doesn't matter. It's right there. It looks pretty. Maybe that'll work enough for you, but it doesn't matter. It's awful. It's just bad.
Just as an aside, Eric, as the resident fan of the Zoo Crew, I love the Zoo Crew. And
I gave you the first issue.
It's like the worst thing that you could do for this book is to have them in it because it throws everything completely off. And again,
they look great though.
We talked about with J-Man earlier about, hey, the 80s cartoon you didn't mind. Now that is something like a Bugs Bunny. We love the Looney Tunes. Now some people, and you're probably going to be an asshole and say, yeah, that I wouldn't mind it.
What?
But it almost feels like in this book, what you're doing is you're taking like I'm not just saying with the Zoo Crew, I'm saying all in all. Like a Three Stooges that you like as well, where all of a sudden the Three Stooges, they're going to pretend they're doctors and get manipulating, right? They're classic.
Disorderlies.
But have to watch that same thing. They don't change it up or anything for 3 days, where it's, a 72-hour one thing of them just doing the same. It's too much then. You need to, there's reasons why even like the Looney Tunes, a lot of stuff, the best are the shorts because you end up, you're in, you're out, and then you reset and start again. The idea, it's because you can't really have a continuity in nonsense like that. This needs to have that, but can't because of the same problems. We end up, it's like watching a Bugs Bunny, and like I said, I would love to see all the Bugs Bunny in a row. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, rabbit season, duck season, that one thing going on for a week. Like that, and by the end, you're like, I get it. Like, we got to get something different. And that's how I feel in this. It feels like I should be having more fun. And by the end, I'm angry because it just doesn't do anything overall. And it's starting to infuriate me. The panty line equation. That's really what she came up with.
Even the idea from the previous issue where Zatanna put together a spell to help protect Harley Quinn from breaking the multiverse so Lady Quark didn't come and kill everybody on this earth because we're dangerous. I never understood how that works. And apparently Captain Carrot breaks it in this issue, and I thought it had already been broken. And it's a weird situation. But by the end, Harley Quinn is confronting Captain Carrot on his destroyed Earth 26. But back in our universe, Ivy finally comes home and realizes, oh my God, Harley destroyed that plant I gave her in the previous issue.
I don't get it.
For the sacrifice for the spell. But Ivy's back and Harley's bullshit, and this book is I'm telling you, I would go back and read the fucking Sam Humphrey days at this point in time.
Actually, I was thinking, here's the thing. I was thinking back at all the Harleys that I didn't like, and while I kind of got a little depressed, like Harley dealing with her mom dying and things like that, but at least you had something that had some substance to it. I know that, and this is the thing where Harley fans, they kind of end up getting upset when Harley just gets thrown at you like this and there's nothing to it, because then other people reading Harley's just cartoony, and no, you don't have to have it like that. But and Dawn of DC to me should mean more, and you have this and it just doesn't mean shit. I mean, even the idea where you're going to have that little debate of like, well, you don't have to be like the Batman wants you to be the hero. I'm like, you're just making fun of everything, and it doesn't matter. It's just bullshit. It's really, really bad. It doesn't matter. But the art is pretty good. I'll give Sweeney
the best
Boo
part
the
about
deal. It works because it's so cartoony and it's cartoony art. But the Zucro look great. But Bud and Lou, that bullshit has to end. I mean, it's just fucking stupid. And then we have a backup that you gave up. You didn't even read it.
I'm telling you, I was already out of my mind at this point in time. I turned the page and had the header here. Don't close the comic. It's time for another in-continuity dream of yours truly, Harley Quinn. And I said, no, fuck you. And I closed the book. I'm done. I can't do more of this dream sequence backup nonsense when I don't have a cohesive story in my front up.
Yeah. Oh my God. It is Nicole Maines on script and Mindy Lee art and color and Hassan Atsama El Halal on letters. It's just Harley dreaming that she's in like this medieval world, but it's more like a role-playing game type thing. Things pop up and she's like, what is that? New objective, exterminate goblin bats in the pumpkin patch. I like this art. It's fucking stupid.
I'm looking at it right now. The art looks fine. It's just, I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't do it anymore. Yeah.
Maybe like have it if you had like the Wizard of Id and she was in like a comic. I could go with that.
I love that comic.
And then the next, and she's Hagar the Horrible next issue. Like,
no, I don't. Again, I don't need any of this in continuity dream backups.
I know. Well, here's the weird play. When I first heard this announced, they were going to have the backups. Hey, the backups. I swear to God, it said the backups were going to be Bud and Lou fucking around. I'm like, okay. Now, somehow, the fucking around with Bud and Lou's in the regular book where they really shouldn't be, and then you have the... It's terrible. It's awful. I can't even give this a fuck you. I can't give it chicken strips. That would be giving it too much credit, though I do love the art. So
it looks amazing.
My score, just pretend the art's not involved, because I think that Sweeney Boo is doing the best work that she can, but you can't shine a turd, Eric. It's that bad. And it almost gets me mad at the script being that bad that you ruin pretty good art. But what would you give it?
Ultimately, I think the art is the only thing that's salvageable about this book, because I love looking at it. I just hate the situations that they're about, because the story is garbage through and through. A 3 out of 10.
Yeah, I actually was going to say chicken strip. No, I'm giving it a 2.5. And seriously, the art's worth 4.5. That's how bad it is. We're negative, and it's just I'd love to say it's a joke, but that should mean it's funny. It's not.
Yeah.
And it can't go on for that long, right? I mean, we hate the Catwoman book, but at least we kind of get involved in that.
There are elements of that we see a glimmer of hope from that call back to a run that we really enjoyed.
Here, right? There's nothing here that you can sit there and
just the prank war with Two-Face at this point in time when he just became Two-Face again in Detective Comics. It's just all making fun of everything that I love about DC Comics at this point in time, and it feels like they're laughing at me instead of me laughing at the comic.
If it felt like a satire deal, or it was out of the idea that you're saying, hey, they're making fun of everything I like, right? And the idea, well,
like a Mad Magazine, yeah.
Some people would say, like, that's what, but it's not.
No. Dawn of DC.
It's just there. Like a Mad Magazine, it does feel like a stupid Mad Magazine, like one of the parodies.
The penny line equation.
Did anybody laugh at that? And did the editor get that and laugh? Do you think?
Look, I read that. I had to reread it. I'm like, wait, does that say that? Oh, yeah. Why?
Why is that in here? I didn't get. Maybe we're dumb.
Backside.
Maybe somebody's like, don't you get it? Like, here's the thing. Backside, the first time I read, but then it's mentioned ad nauseum. So it really, that's done. The female furries I thought was hilarious. I thought that would in a Zucro, that's perfect. Yeah. That's great. But then right after that, in that same word bubble, I swear to God, is where you get the panty line equation and then ruin everything. It's like the idea that I'm going to serve you filet mignon, right, Eric? You like that? You get some shrimp here. And then I just put down my pants and diarrhea all over it and then say, bon appetit. And you're like,
I'm never coming to this restaurant again.
Exactly. I mean, that's what it felt like.
See you next week.
You shouldn't do that. You don't diarrhea all over the filet mignon and the shrimp. That's going to happen at the Shady Maple. It happens all the time. But that's well, we already know that Tim Drake's your book of the week, so we can move on from there. What is your book of the week?
My book of the week is JSA number 4 and City Boy number 1.
Mine is JSA number 4, but I want to throw in City Boy as a shout out. I think everybody should check that out. Those were both. I mean, amazingly, Eric, those were. It's not like we're trying to play this game, but those were on the Patreon Spotlight. And we had a lot of fun talking about that. That was patreon.com/weird science. Again, next week's episode will be completely Patreon only. And you can go over right now and even sign up for a 7-day free trial. So what do you have to lose, Eric? The only thing you have to lose is your mind. And you already lost it because of Harley. I'm telling you, I was starting to lose it in the Tim Drake reading that, but the Harley it took the cake. And you know what it did? Then pulled down its pants and diarrheaed all over the cake, like everything else.
That's no way to eat a cake.
That book, I've said it for a while now. I think that Harley, while I do love Harley when she's done well, I think that she needs to go away for a little. I think that you need to just settle down, get it away, and then come back with somebody who has a story, not just making up fucking nonsense like the penny line equation. That's fucking bullshit. Bullshit, Eric. Now I'm mad at you. Why did you do? Yeah, who said that? That is somebody who knows what they're talking about. Have a story. I mean, when you end up, this is the thing, DC, I have a feeling they just went to Teenie Howard and said, hey, you want to read Harley? She's like, what the fuck? Why not?
Right.
Don't do that. Have somebody, send out the memo. Hey, everybody, attention, all employees. Anybody have a fucking Harley story that will mean something? And then, by the way, anybody know anything about Tim Drake? You come too. Have them all. Just gather in and have a contest. 3 people pitching the stories. The best one wins, Eric. And then we all win. Not this, hey, I think that you'd be great on Harley because, Teenie Howard, you've done so well with all the other fucking books you failed at. She's terrible. She makes her deadlines, though, Eric. I hear, and she's very pleasant. She's a pleasant person to work with and makes her deadlines. Boom. Yeah, really. So, she doesn't cause the only problem she causes is with the fans reading this garbage. The issue made me dumber. And I don't have a lot of room to spare here. I'm not like you with the memories in and out. I'm just dumb. I'm dumb. And I'm sitting there reading this, and eventually I think that what they want is, and you can see the progression of what DC wants. They want me, like you said, almost. It does feel like by the end of this, they want you in a padded room, drooling all over yourself, going, the panty line. That's all.
Do I have Wi-Fi? Because I might be able to deal with this.
No, you don't have Wi-Fi. You have panty-fi.
You did it. You can write a comic.
You got die-fi. The panty. Do you like panty lines, Eric? I don't have to worry about that shit. That's why also I can't relate.
Why do you wear panties?
I don't wear undies. I don't have any line. Right?
Dude,
that's it.
But who's talking about underwear lines?
When was the last time you had to stand in a line that was more? Did you have to at the movie theater at all?
It was very
I hate
quick.
lines. And the idea that you can get the self-checkout and shit like that, lines always infuriated me. We were at the Shady Maple, the buffet in Lancaster area for people who aren't in the know. The country's biggest buffet. When we got there, we had to wait in line to get seated. And it was I'm telling you, 40 minutes? I said, what is this, fucking Magic Mountain? I didn't know what was going on. I was so upset.
You're going to drive 45 minutes to wait in line for 40 minutes. You're out of your fucking mind just to eat.
45 minutes? What are you going, 90? It takes an hour and 20 minutes at least.
Well, see, I always say that. You tell me it doesn't take that long.
No, it's like an hour and 15 minutes is what it does. So
I'm not driving over an hour to eat and then wait in line for 40 minutes.
I had 7 steaks.
I don't need 7 steaks.
The funniest is when I was saying that meal that I was going to diarrhea on, it was basically all I ate at the buffet. I ate a lot of filet mignon and a lot of fried shrimp. That's what I ate. I went to town. That's what they say. And then I always look at that sign. I'm like, you're not allowed to take any food out here. That sounds like a challenge. The idea that I have pockets full of steak running
You're
out.
Just a fucking monster.
That would
you
be
mean the idea? I know that's what happened.
No, I wouldn't do that. I eat so much. We end up doing a thing, and we have kind of a contest that we eat so much steak. And that's basically what it was. Logan said to me, you know what? I'm hungry for steak. I'm like, screw it. Let's go. So we ended up going, me, him, and Rafe. And when we get there, we eat as much steak as we can before we feel like we're going to vomit, and then one more. That's the suicide steak, we call it. And it's trouble. And I
still feel like it would be cheaper just to buy steak at the grocery store.
No, there's no way. The amount,
I'm sure they have some cheap ass steak there.
Yeah, but you're not going to be able to eat all of us eating 8 steaks each. That's not happening. These were good
gas
steaks. Money? What's that, Eric? What's
expensive.
Yeah, it was worth what we got. I enjoyed it. It was funny because you get there and they have the one station that's the brisket, a bunch of different steaks. They had lamb there, but I didn't try that. You know, I'm not a barbarian. And then they have this other thing. They have another station that's like salmon and catfish. Nobody was there. If you wanted to get your salmon and catfish, you could have walked right up, but you have to wait a little for the other deal. And then this one guy, I ended up this guy was doing the steak deal. Guy was an asshole, but that's.
I bet he didn't give me my steak fast enough.
No. Well, you have to go. You have to say, and you're like, well, I'll have it medium. And they do this move that you would hate. Well, they cut one open and they show it to you
well,
this.
I can't see.
I never say, that's fine. This guy was just like, and I said, because I don't want to cause trouble, I said anything close to medium. And he didn't like that. He's like, close.
What a piece of shit.
I'm like, whatever. Just give me whatever, you fucking asshole.
Just
and then
follow
he
the
gave
rules.
it to me. No, there's no real, but that's the rules. And then
you know what you're supposed to do when you go up there.
Something with he laughed at Logan. Logan didn't like that. I'm raising a bunch of assholes
He's a
with
clown.
me. We're all mad. Yes, I'm the clown maker. But yeah, we had that, and I had a lot of shrimp. I had a lot of that shit, and I also had some dried corn there. That is something
Why?
Because it's the only place that I ever seen it, and it's pretty good.
Gross.
Very sweet. Very, very sweet. They dry it and then you reconstitute it, I guess is what the term would be. And it gets real sweet, but it looks like shit. It looks like corn that's they picked out of turds or something, but it tastes pretty good. And I had a pickled egg for no reason.
All right.
There you go. There's my whole time. And a bunch of Diet Mountain Dew. This is fun times.
You're that guy. I'm going to eat 8 steaks, but make sure you give me a Diet Mountain Dew.
Yeah, because you go and you fill it up yourself. So, but no, it's too sweet. Otherwise, it's nothing about me trying to watch calories or anything. It's just too damn sweet. The rent's too damn high. Though when we went, and I did, Logan and Ray paid for themselves. And I told those assholes they have to pay. So I paid for myself, they paid for theirs, and off we went. So they're going back on Tuesday. And I'm not doing it then. The one I said this time though, when I was done. Every time I eat there, I'm like, I think I want to be a vegetarian. Till the next day when I wake up. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. That's too much work.
Monster.
But yeah, when we get done, because it's so much food, they end up where they strip down and then they lay in the back seat. And I thought this time, out of nowhere, if I get pulled over now, I have 2 teenage kids in their underwear laying in the back seat of the car asleep. Not a good look.
As usual.
And also, they don't have ID, Eric, so that might be problems as well. Oh, well, there you go. They're going around.
Just tell them not to be animals and keep their clothes on.
We listened to Howard Stern on the way, and then on the way back, listened to a little Guns N' Roses. They actually wanted to listen to Guns N' Roses. I was fine with that, so that was pretty fun. Talking about Slash and stuff. But that's it. Next week, though, with the Patreon only, we know what's going to be on it because there's only 2 books. We have Detective Comics and that Power Girl special.
That's it, really.
Not the craziest deal, but that will be it. And also, I had promised the Get Fresh crew that we would be doing our Mount Rushmore of creators. They were playing that game on the Slack at one point, wanted to get me involved, and I tried to push it away. And I'm like, me and Eric will do that down the line. And then,
why couldn't you just do what you normally did and lie?
John Wayne ended up saying that I said, you're going to have to remind me. He did remind me, so we'll do that. It's a little different from the, do or die pull list. We'll do that. It's 5 people? Is that what Mount
I was actually thinking about my do or die pull list this week, thinking about, a bunch of Dawn of DC stuff that comes out. I think my list is completely changed.
Maybe we'll do that. That's something because we only have 2 books, so we'll have to do so. We didn't even know we were going to have Detective Comics. That came out of the blue. I'm like,
honestly, you told me the other week, I think it was, like, hey, we got more books than just this. I'm like, great. And I thought it was, more books.
more. Not much. So you end up having those 2, but we'll try to have some fun with it. And if, some mail or whatever, we usually don't read the mail on the Patreon only shows because we're afraid that the people who send it in, they're not, but who knows? But,
no
not
mail.
Really this isn't a great way to push this Patreon only show, but that's it. We don't fake the fun there. We should push it better. But all of that, next week. Patreon only. So if you don't get involved, we'll be back in a couple weeks and you'll just have to deal with it, jerks. Right?
Yeah.
Is that how we push it? Yeah,
damn
jerks. But everybody needs more Eric Shea. So with all that, though, we are done. Eric, what do we say at the end?
Everybody have a great week. Keep it weird.
Weird.
And we'll see you in 7.
See you in 7.